your face in the candlelight across the room, and I wanted to know. Yeah, I wanted to know. Well, I'm anxious to know if you dance with me. Put on those dancing shoes, grab my hand, let's dance, let's get this ballroom rocking tonight. Clear the floor so we can do this right. We will dance till we got holes in our souls. Let's get this ballroom rocking tonight till the moon fades out and the sun's inside. We will dance till we hear a hello, are you doing alright? I am doing just fine. I could dance all night. Did you come along? I just want you to know you don't have to be alone if you dance with me. Put on those dancing shoes, grab my hand, let's dance, let's get this ballroom rocking tonight. Clear the floor so we can do this right. We will dance till we got holes in our souls. Let's get this ballroom rocking tonight till the moon fades out and the sun's inside. We will dance till we hear a hush. Put on those dancing shoes, grab my hand, let's dance, let's get this ballroom rocking tonight. Clear the floor so we can do this right. We will dance till we got holes in our souls. Let's get this ballroom rocking tonight till the moon fades out and the sun's inside. Let's get out, girl, I'm taking you home. Hello, how you doing tonight? I saw your face in the candlelight across the room, and I wanted to know. Yeah, I wanted to know. Well, I'm anxious to know if you dance with me. Put on those dancing shoes, grab my hand, let's dance, let's get this ballroom rocking tonight. Clear the floor so we can do this right. We will dance till we got holes in our souls. Let's get this ballroom rocking tonight till the moon fades out and the sun's inside. We will dance till we hear a hello, are you doing alright? I am doing just fine. I could dance all night. Did you come along? I just want you to know you don't have to be alone if you dance with me. Put on those dancing shoes, grab my hand, let's dance, let's get this ballroom rocking tonight. Clear the floor so we can do this right. We will dance till we got holes in our souls. Let's get this ballroom rocking tonight till the moon fades out and the sun's inside. We will dance till we hear a hush. Put on those dancing shoes, grab my hand, let's dance, let's get this ballroom rocking tonight. Clear the floor so we can do this right. We will dance till we got holes in our souls. Let's get this ballroom rocking tonight till the moon fades out and the sun's inside. Let's get out, girl, I'm taking you home. Hello, how you doing tonight? I saw your face in the candlelight across the room, and I wanted to know. Yeah, I wanted to know. Well, I'm anxious to know if you dance with me. Put on those dancing shoes, grab my hand, let's dance, let's get this ballroom rocking tonight. Clear the floor so we can do this right. We will dance till we got holes in our souls. Let's get this ballroom rocking tonight till the moon fades out and the sun's inside. We will dance till we hear a hello, are you doing alright? I am doing just fine. I could dance all night. Did you come along? I just want you to know you don't have to be alone if you dance with me. Put on those dancing shoes, grab my hand, let's dance, let's get this ballroom rocking tonight. Clear the floor so we can do this right. We will dance till we got holes in our souls. dance with you. Grab my hand, let's dance, get this ballroom rocking tonight. Glue the floor so we can do this right. We will dance till we got holes in our souls. Let's get this ballroom rocking tonight till the moon fades out and the sun's in sight. Let's get out, girl, I'm taking you home.
I'm just kidding. What is going on? That wasn't in frame. Zage, get your dinner, man. How's everyone doing? Welcome to the stream. It's so good to see y'all. It's a pleasure streaming on a Wednesday evening. We've got Zage here. We got Patriots fan, aka Alyssa. We've got Dustin in chat. Roosevelt's here. Made me laugh about Luis Mendes. That's Alex, right? We can't be talking about this for 3 hours, dude. You've got some things to learn tonight. You don't think we can talk about shipping for 3 hours? Are you kidding me? We can talk. People have been talking about this for 30 years, Alex. 30 freaking years. Anyway, but it's good to see you guys. Everything good except my wallet after these prices increase. My new Pixel Pro. Dude, Alex, you cannot help yourself. Do you realize that every time that you chat something, you're kind of like bragging about all the things that you have? Your iPad Pro, your Pixel Pro 11 got a price hike. I hear you, dude, but you just gotta, we know that you like the nice things. That's good. Maybe it's an ongoing joke with you now. Maybe you just do it because you know it. You tease us, right? Amber's here. What's up? Shippers can talk about their ships for 3 hours. Trust. Yes, I can. I can talk about my ships. What's up, Jem? What's up, Dan? Spencer was scared, and we will all hear about it. What was I scared about, Dan? I think you talk about shipping for 3 hours. Okay. Yeah, I can. Easily, dude. Yeah, I want to talk about shipping. And I've been thinking about talking about this for a long time. There was a moment there when I was going to go off. I had bookmarked like a bajillion tweets. I was like, I'm gonna come out and talk about all these things. And I wasn't like in the right mind space because of what happened, which you guys will hear about later. But yeah, so I was going to kind of go off a little bit, but then I decided, that's not kind of what I want to do. I want to be positive. I want to be, I don't want to create drama. The whole reason I'm streaming tonight is because I want to discuss about shipping from a different angle. There's positive takes on shipping. There's obviously a lot of toxic and negative takes on shipping. If you don't know what shipping is, we're going to have, for anyone that's new and is like, I keep saying shipping and you don't understand that word, I made a PowerPoint. We're going to talk about what shipping means. It's the PowerPoint isn't very long. I was like, I had all these grand ideas, and then I'm like, I ran out of time because I was playing with. Yeah, I blew up the water slide for the kids today, and they were out playing in the hot summer sun, so it was kind of fun. But anyway, so yeah, kind of crazy stuff, but not a ton on the PowerPoint. Like I wasn't, doing it in autistic detail or anything. It's just a simple PowerPoint that kind of explains shipping if you don't know what shipping is. Scared, my bad. Oh yeah, no big deal. Roosevelt says the shipper scared Spencer so much that he has to put his Joker mask on. Yeah, I'm so scared. You guys, and I'm going to share my shipping story with you guys tonight. That's why I think it'll be fun, because I get to tell a story. I get to talk about how I've interacted with the online community and what that's all about, especially with me being just a member of the Final Fantasy Files. Just so you guys know, I'm not the whole channel. My wife, Jolie, is the one who leads the channel. She's the engine behind the channel. She's the one who edits scripts and does all the deep dive stuff. She schedules the recordings. She, pulls all the gameplay. She does everything. I'm just a co-host on the channel, and I help with graphic design and some social media stuff. And then Ernest is also a co-host on the channel. So I make up 1/3 of the opinions on this channel, and I just happen to stream on Wednesday nights by myself, so it's not all my opinions, and we'll get into that a little bit. But yeah, so anyway, PowerPoint on shipping. Spencer, are you okay? Yes, I'm okay, Alex. What's up, GraphsTube? Shipping is using the mailbox, right? Yes, yeah, exactly. See, this is why we need to talk, is you don't know what shipping is. Teasing. Alyssa says, I think we all know what shipping means. No, we're gonna talk about it. And let them cook. Let them talk. Some managers are cooler. Scared. Is that scarred? Scared? I don't know what you guys are talking about. Remember how I can't read when I said opaquea? Where's opaquea? Opaque. People can be so parasocial. She is the boss officially. Yeah, Jolie is the boss officially, for sure. Twitter thinks that I'm a bot, so I haven't been online, and it's pretty peaceful. Really? What happened, Roosevelt? Yeah, so anyway, why am I talking about shipping now? If you guys are on the Final Fantasy VII Twitter, you probably have seen some stuff about the voice actors, especially Cody Christian, talking about, he was on an interview panel. I don't know where. I didn't care about it that much. I watched clips from it. I did not watch the whole thing, but I saw the discourse around it after he gave an interview. This interview and the discourse surrounding this interview is not unique. This is something that's been happening for years. I'm new to the Final Fantasy series. My very first game was Final Fantasy VII Remake, and so I've been following it since 2020, so it's been 6 years for me. But people have been talking about this stuff for literal years. There's other examples of voice actors talking, and people get bent out of shape about what they said in those panels. So I'm not going to make this all about the most recent one with Cody, but I am going to talk a little bit about my feelings about how the discourse is in Final Fantasy VII, Twitter discourse, online discourse, and how we react to certain things, and how that involves shipping, because it does, if you guys don't know that. Whoa, holy crap, thank you so much, anonymous gifter, for what is the deal with these gift sub bombs? That's so awesome, thank you. The hype train started. Okay, so whoever you are, anonymous gifter, I don't know who you are. I blamed Biggles last time, and he told me it wasn't him. So, yeah. Well, thank you, and welcome to all the people that got gift subscriptions. I appreciate it. This happened last time too. That's incredibly nice of you. You do not need to do that, but it's very appreciated. That's anyway. So yeah, Ernest AI. I can give a quick summary of the entire video. Go for it, Ernest AI. Jam, what's up? Do you choose not to play the OG? So that's a good question. Yes, I have purposely made the decision not to play Final Fantasy VII OG, and a lot of you know why I do this. But like I said before, I am one of 3 hosts on this channel. If you look down in this corner right here, you'll see that there's Ernest and Jolie and me. Ernest has played the original. He played the original Final Fantasy on the NES when it came out. Jolie started playing Final Fantasy in the PlayStation 1 era, so she started with Final Fantasy VIII. And like I told you, I started when I started playing Final Fantasy VII Remake. Now, they have already played the OG. They have their opinions of the OG. And Jolie has played it multiple times. Ernest has played it one time. And I thought it would be a good idea for me to avoid playing the OG, to give a perspective of a newcomer who hasn't played the original, who hasn't played Crisis Core, who hasn't played a lot of those games that, you know, some people argue are necessary to understand the plot of the remakes. But I want to give those people a voice when we talk on the podcast. So that's the reason, Jem, why I do that. Amber says, poor Cody, people will, with unfulfilling lives, just ran all over him on Twitter. People are weird. Yeah, it's like funny because, yes, that's true, Amber, that, you know, we got a lot of people that went after him for that, but we're going to talk about kind of the nuances behind that. I agree that people do not need to get after the voice actors for their decades-long fandom, right? These people are hired to do a job, and part of that job is voicing the characters. That's the main part of their job, you know, giving us delivering a good performance so that we can be immersed and enjoy the experience. But also when you get the job, when you get the gig to be a voice actor, you also kind of represent the brand. You represent Square Enix, but you're also kind of representing the fandom in a way. And it's kind of a big burden on your shoulders, and it's unfortunate that this is the case, but you become like a marketing PR person that just goes out and does marketing for the game, you know? I think the best example of this is Ben Starr. If you guys know Ben Starr, thank you so much, Alyssa, for the bits, for the 200 bits. Thank you. Ben Starr is the type of person who, like, he goes full on, you know, marketing for the game. He goes on podcasts. He goes all over. He represents the brand. He was Clive in Final Fantasy 16. And if you've seen him in other games, like he's the Joker in Bellatra, right? Jimbo. He does funny things on his own Twitter and on his own things where he, you know, becomes this person where he represents the brand. And unfortunately or not, for these voice actors that maybe aren't as outgoing and, you know, as like maybe a Ben Starr or something, they are held to a standard because they now represent something bigger than just themselves and just their performance, right? So yes, I do think people ran over Cody I would say for no reason. I would say for reasons, and we're going to talk about them. But I also think that this is when shipping gets out of control, when certain things that bother you about a relationship or a hint towards something not going your way or not towards your canon relationship doesn't give you, you know, it shouldn't give you a kind of just, I want to say like carte blanche. What's the word? It doesn't give you just freedom to, you know, go after these people because, like I said, they're just doing a job. But we'll get into it later. Roosevelt says, Twitter doing their new bot purge, and since all I do on Twitter is like and retweet things, gotcha. Okay, so it thinks you're a bot. Gotcha. Alex says, speaking about the voice actor panel, how did you guys set up a panel with them? Okay, so if you don't know, Alex is talking about us actually doing a panel with the voice actors. I don't know if you guys know this, but Jolie is amazing, and Ernest, they secured a interview with the voice actors last year at a convention called MagWest. Maybe some of you guys have seen the panel, but yeah, Jolie and Ernest they like to go to those Distant Worlds concerts, and Ernest met someone who was volunteering to run the event at MagWest. MagWest is a music show where they feature music and have artists come and perform that are, mostly predominantly around video game music. And it just happened to be that in 2025 they were doing Final Fantasy VII music. So Ernest got in touch with them, and they got in touch with Jolie, and then they started talking, which was cool. So that's how we did the voice panel, which was, I think, very cool. It was one of our best performing videos, and Jolie, if you guys don't know, is a film director. She's done, corporate video, but she's also directed actors that a lot of people might know in creative work. And so she was able to kind of pick the brains of the voice actors from a different perspective. I don't know if you guys... Here, I'll show it here. I'll pull it up on screen. But let me make sure this is working before I just go for it. Make sure this is playing the right thing. Okay. Let me know if the sound works for you guys.
We just say the line, wow, you really could have tried harder. You really could have tried harder. Well, you could have tried
Stand
harder.
bar.
We just say it 3 different ways, and then the director will take from that. We also listen to the Japanese voice actors for every single line that we do, because that informs everything that we do. Yeah. So that's all part of it.
That's so fascinating.
In a weird way, tell the truth. Because sometimes you listen to
So if you guys, this is Ernest right here, and this is Jolie, and then this is Roche. This is Austin Lee Matthews. This is obviously Barrett, played by John Eric Bentley. This is Brianna White, who plays Aerith, and this is William Christopher Stevens, who plays Rude, and this is, I'm forgetting his name, Arnie Pantoja, I think is his. I'm probably butchering his name, but he plays Reno. So these are the 2 Turks.
Japanese line, and it's long, and you got like 4 or 5 words. And then sometimes you listen to the Japanese line, and it'll be a line like this. But that's how we would deliver it. But that shit is like this! And it's like, how do you... And they've already done the mocap.
Anyway, and then we got our stuff. So anyway, Jolie was able to ask them a lot of questions. She played a couple things here, but yeah, Jolie is... she has connections in a lot of things like this. Ernest made the connection, and then Jolie, has done stuff like this forever. And so she wrote all the questions, she organized all the things, and then make sure that everybody got there. If that answers your question, but yeah. And that's going to go into kind of what we're talking about, because we have actually personally met the voice actors that some of the people have in the the shipping controversies that have surrounded people. We have more of an inside look at what some other people that's an anonymous Twitter user behind whatever cartoon avatar. I'm not saying that we know them. Like we Jolie got to know them pretty decently well, but they were just there for like a weekend or whatever. But then we got their contact information and stuff like that. But it's different when you talk to someone in person, when you're using your real name and your real face, and you say, this is who I am, and then they say, this is who I am, right? When we're online on Twitter and we're talking at each other, sometimes it's easier to say mean things or things that, you wouldn't really say to a real person in real life. So that just gives us a different perspective for sure. But let's see here. Thank you, whoever that was. Yeah, seriously. Biggles, it wasn't Biggles, but that was so cool for the subs. Thank you for the subs. That's so nice. Whoever you are, so kind. This has happened. I know that's a bigger deal when you have just a crazy gift sub bomb. I feel like we've gotten more gift subs than we even have followers. I don't even know how that's possible. So whoever you are, you anonymous gifter, you're a very kind person. It really means a lot. Dan says, you mean they aren't writing the script? Are you talking about the voice actors? Oh, I skipped over graphs tubes. There's only 2 safe ways to navigate these shipping lane waters. Tell everyone to believe their headcanon, or meme it up with Mary F and kill. Okay, like the game about Mary F or kill. Yeah. I don't know, GraphsTube. So that's what I want to talk about tonight, because I think there's a better way to talk about shipping. people handle it in their own ways, and we're a small creator, so we're not going to be able to come on here and say like we need to fix the 30-year beef that people have and the toxicity that's been building and building and building, and just I just feel like it gets enabled because people on Twitter, like I said, they have that anonymity and the anonymity to just stay behind, their keyboards and their screens, and people don't know who they are, and then they just like go to war over the silliest stuff, and that's kind of what I want to talk about, and we'll get into it. But yes, Alex says, to be honest, the same with any industry. Every time you talk publicly, you represent your company, government, agency. Yeah, I mean, for sure. I mean, you on Twitter, people will be like, my views are my own, right? Not my employer's. But even still, if you have that in your bio, you still have to represent your company in a way. Because if you're like going to cause some crazy drama or, be outrageous, like it's going to reflect badly on your employer no matter what. I agree with you, Amber. Ben Starr is a treasure. Thank you for the hype train, guys. So whoever kicked that off, we've reached level 3 on the hype train. I don't know what that means because we're new to Twitch, but shout out for a level 3 hype train. Just watched the full interview yesterday. Pretty amazing. Oh, cool. So you hadn't seen it all. Okay, cool. Yeah. Jolie got the opportunity to do that. And that was like one of the highlights she got to do last year. And I will say, just so you guys know, like these people are all amazing people. Like, sorry. Austin Lee Matthews as Roche, incredible. Really good. John Eric Bentley is like an amazing human being. Like seriously, so the Final Fantasy VII community doesn't know how lucky they have it for him to be one of the leads, for him to be Barrett. He also kind of takes a lot of the other people under his wing. If you guys don't know, Brianna White, her first, voice acting role was Aerith. And so she was new when she started doing this. I mean, she's been doing it for, 7 years now. But John always, whenever John goes somewhere, he like watches over Brianna, and it's so sweet. William Christopher Stevens, he's been in like Cyberpunk Edge Runners. He was dying in Cyberpunk Edge Runners. He's got that really low voice. He's rude. He's got some really cool... He's had some really cool roles, and Arnie is just like this prolific voice actor. He's in a lot of stuff that if you watch anime or other cartoons, you would I don't know if you'd recognize him in it because he does so many different voices. But they're all wonderful, kind people, and it was such a joy to get to know them. I was at home watching the kids, so I'm living vicariously through my wife and Ernest. But yeah, super cool, Alex, that we got to do that. But yeah, let's see. Amber says, personally, I love hearing about people's ships because you get to see a specific passion so long as they do it respectfully and don't take it out on others and following their own. I agree. We might as well get into it because that's kind of like what I'm going to be talking about. There's nothing wrong with shipping. Okay. Like, let me do this. Look how formal this is. Check it out, guys. Tell me what you think. I keep pushing the wrong button. Ooh, look at this PowerPoint. Final Fantasy VII shipping. Let me know in chat if you guys know what shipping is. Just put, should I say, wait, maybe I'll do a poll. Do you know what shipping / in the fandom is? Just I'll let you know. So if you want to vote on this poll, you can say what you type 1 for yes and 2 for no, but I'll let you know when it starts. I'm gonna have it up for 2 minutes. Okay. So do you know what shipping is in the fandom? I'm interested to know this because I think people like obviously they get it from context clues. When they hop into a fandom, people are just like, whoa, But I would be interested to know if people don't know. So if you want to vote, you just put a 1 in chat. And if you for yes and a 2 in chat for no. But GraphsTube says Final Fantasy VII shipping is the logistics of getting your collector's edition without dents in the box, right? Yeah, it's true. But yeah, if you guys have heard of shipping, let me know. I'm sure a lot of you guys have. But shipping is an interesting thing that I didn't know. I didn't know what shipping was this time. I did know last year. Okay, so I started recording with the Final Fantasy files like a year and a half ago is when I started doing stuff for the show. And I had no idea what a shipper was. I had no idea like that there was like online communities based solely around the preferred relationship of a character in any fandom. So yeah, that was kind of my thing, and I wasn't unsure about it, but now I know what it is, and I see it all the time, which is kind of interesting. Dennis Tired says you can know, but not know how big overblown it can be. Yeah. Dents in the box won't matter if it's getting standard edition because there's nothing in the boxes soon. I know, right? Hey, I remember when I bought a collector's edition. This was like years ago, and it was and I remember opening up the CD case looking for my game, and the game wasn't in there. It was just a pull. And it was like kind of nuts. So, all right. So 2 of you said you didn't know what shipping was, and then 11 you. So about 84% of you said, and maybe there's some of you that didn't vote. Okay. So for those of you that don't know what shipping is, this is kind of like what we're going to be talking about. It comes from relationship, but this is our agenda for today. Okay. We're going to be talking about like what is shipping, why do people ship, the Final Fantasy VII shipping wars. And then my story, number 4, I'm going to talk about kind of what I was telling you about, how I found out about ships and when it goes too far and should we do anything about it. So here's shipping, right? Toolman says you're new to all this. Shipping, here's your definition. It's derived from the word relationship. Shipping is the desire by followers of a fandom for 2 or more individuals, either real life people or fictional characters, to be in a relationship. So not all this drama, but a lot of the drama in Final Fantasy VII, online community is based around people's preferred, who they want, these 2 individuals, real or fictional, to be in a relationship. That's all it is. And I will remind the audience that the average age of a Final Fantasy player in Japan, it's like 42. Maybe it's a little younger in North America. Like, let's just say the average age is 40. And the majority of players are men. So when you see all the drama that's online and it's surrounded these communities that are shipping, just remember that those statistics, that the people behind those screens might be middle-aged. Middle-aged is 40, middle-aged, yeah. Men going to war over their favorite relationship in a game. That's not totally true. I think relationships do bring in females. I know that gaming is just the majority of gamers are men, but then like my wife Jolie really likes Final Fantasy because of the relationships in the games, because of the love stories. I'm someone who has been on record who loves romantic comedies. They're like my favorite type of comedy. I can't do a comedy that's just kind of like slapstick comedy or, like that bro comedy where they just say a bunch of like raunchy stuff and they like treat girls like crap. Like that stuff really bothers me. So anyway, yeah, it's very interesting because I like romantic comedies because they deal with the human element that we all have, that we all want to be in a relationship. We all long for connection. And so whenever those comedies come out, it's usually something that's relatable because it's something that we've one time in our lives, had a crush on someone or done something embarrassing, but when I watch silly, bro comedies, I'm like, this will never happen. So yeah. But here's the key concepts in shipping. Canon versus non-canon. A canon ship is an actual officially confirmed romance in the source material. So, like an example of a canon ship. Oh man, I got to be careful here. I won't even talk about Final Fantasy or whatever. Like Harry Potter, for example, right? When the books were going on, it was like there was shipping around Harry Potter because it's like are Harry and Hermione like gonna get together, or is it Hermione and Ron, right? The canon ship for that is Ron and Hermione. They end up together, they have children in the epilogue and all that stuff, right? So yeah, but then a non-canon ship, or a fanon is what some people say. The ship consists of characters that fans want to see together but aren't in the original story. That's not saying that they're not in the story, but they're not like in a relationship in the original story. So this can be anything. This could be saying like Severus Snape and Professor McGonagall, you know, like, or whatever. Like you can just pick someone like at random and just smash them together because you think it would be fun if they were in a relationship or something, right? So yeah. Yeah, Roosevelt, this is a small lecture series. I told you we're doing PowerPoint today, right? Jem says, I knew about shipping from animes like Naruto and stuff. I think that's common in the anime community, right? Amber says we can do something about it if toxic, buy duct tape. If not, smile and nod and encourage, right? Well, this is the thing that I'll get to, but I just don't think shippers have as much power as they want to have. Like the toxic shippers, the ones that want to control things. It's like, I think a lot of people want to stay out of their radar because they don't want the drama, and because of that, they just kind of avoid them and don't ever. They kind of enable them by not saying anything to them. But it's like, anyway, I'll tell you my story and why I think I'm not worried about them anymore. Alex says people should be required to have their name under all their crazy posts. I mean, that would change a lot of things. I have opinions about like anonymity. I feel like I'm saying that word wrong. Anonymity. Whatever the word is, you know, like you don't have to show who you are, and you're hiding behind the internet. Like, I think it's good. You know, I don't want a registry of everybody and it's like, you are this person. But I think it would be cool if it was like something that everybody opted into. It's like, if you want to join this social media platform, like you have to provide an ID of some sort. It's not because they can track you or whatever, but it's like, you have to say, I'm willing to, you know, grant this. And then if everybody's there, then it's like what you say is who you are and people know that. And in a way, like people like content creators like myself, I do that every time I get in front of a microphone and a camera because I'm telling you my name. I'm Spencer Price, right? I'm recording. I'm saying things with my own name. Every time I put something on Twitter, I write out my tweets and then I sign it Spencer, so people know that even though it's coming from the Final Fantasy Files account, these are Spencer's opinions, not Jolie's or Ernest. So yeah, it's interesting thought experiment. I don't know if people would want to do that, but it would be cool. It would only work if it was opt-in, though. Roosevelt says, I don't think the age matters. You get this with any age in the fandom. Sure, I think it matters when it comes to the toxicity that you see in the Final Fantasy VII community, because people complain about shipping in a weird way, and when you realize that people are like, there's a bunch of 40-year-old men and women in the fandom, right? Shipping can be its own thing, though, too. You don't have to be a Final Fantasy video game player to be a shipper, either. You can just do it for the lulz. You can do it for the love of the game, as some people say. You can do it because you're obsessed with the character, and I think that happens a lot. Let's see here. I think romantic relationships in games is strange. Well, Alex, you're in the minority because people love that stuff, dude. I actually like it. I like romance in movies and games and all that stuff. I think it's cool. It's just weird when they make it their identity. When people take that relationship and instead of focusing on, you know, the narrative structure of the plot, they run with the character that they're so obsessed with, and now that's all that matters, right? In the discourse, and they love it. It can be fun, and if you're just doing it for fun, shout out, enjoy. But then there's a lot of people that just do it because they're like, they want to start a church around that character, and they're like, I pray to this character, I love this character, you know, kind of that. GraphsTube says, if you acknowledge canon, if you just acknowledge canon, are you a shipper? No dog in the fight other than that. If the devs went the other way, you just be a leaf in the wind. Sure. But the funny thing about like Final Fantasy VII, and we'll talk about this, why Final Fantasy VII's shipping wars, are so toxic, is because there's a group of people that think there is a canon ship, and there's a group of people that isn't, that doesn't think there's a canon ship, and then the developers have been cagey about it for this reason. I think the reason why Final Fantasy VII is so popular, in a weird way, is because of shipping. Because of the characters that they want to see, they want Aerith to be with Cloud, or they want Tifa to be with Cloud, right? Galleon, a sloop. Stop saying ship names. I already read you the definition, Toolman. Do you need to see it again? We're not talking about ships on the ocean or shipping something in the mail. We're talking about the desire of followers of a fandom for 2 or more individuals to be in a relationship. That's what shipping we're talking about. Anyway, so that's like canon versus non-canon, right? The Sister Ray isn't a canon ship. Nice. Kratos God of War, what's up? Really? I always think women care more about shipping than men. But that's the crazy part, because yes, usually that's the case, right? That women usually gravitate towards, it's been done in studies. Men care about things more than people, and women care about people more than things, right? And so when you have stories and narratives, women gravitate towards the human elements in those stories. A guy can be obsessed with like world building and this really cool, amazing fictional universe and how it's all put together and how the lore works. And the girls are usually focused on the characters and who they are and why they like each other. And that's not saying that that's wrong. It's just that's how, biologically we're coded, and that's not true for every female. And it's not true for every male. It's just, it's a generalization, but it's very somewhat true. I'm kicking this user, banning you, this spam in chat. One sec. I always have to be careful so I don't kick one of you guys. But yeah, so you're right. It's usually like women usually care more about that. But anyway, Amber says the Navy has lots of cannon ships. Sometimes the minority has the largest voice, so they seem bigger than they are. And this is very true, right? You'll be surprised by how much shipping does to control certain medias. And that's the thing, Roosevelt, like, why do we let the shippers just control everything, right? we're not like a huge, big Final Fantasy creator channel. I don't even know how to say that. We're not like a very big Final Fantasy, creator. We create content around Final Fantasy, but there's much bigger creators than us, right? And every time they're confronted with this is a very common thing that I hear. I hear this all the time. They'll say, yeah, I don't want anything to do with you guys. Like, totally fine. You do you, right? All I'm saying is this. And they like always have to preface it with something like they're worried about. Why don't you say something like, this is just how I feel. And then if they get all mad and throw a tantrum, then you just say, you're acting like children and it's not a big deal. Right? Like, this is my issue with like the toxic shipper. Because they're so wrapped up in their wars. They go to war every day over this, and they're always fighting, and they're always mad about something. But these bigger creators, I don't know, I get that they might want the engagement from these people, right? And they don't want to ruffle the feathers and stuff like that. Maybe not really big creators don't care about it, but maybe some like mid-tier creators that are still building and really care about, they want to be the next big Final Fantasy, creator in the space. And so they don't want to ruffle any feathers. And I say that's fine. That's totally their prerogative. They get to choose whether or not they want to interact with this stuff anyway. Maybe it's not even interesting to them, Maybe they don't even care to talk about it, right? But when you have an opinion about something and then it riles up the fan base and especially the shipping community, you can kind of just be like, I don't care what you think. You know what I mean? Like, this is just, this is who I am. This is how I feel, right? And so, like, for me, I don't know. I don't like to be censored. I don't like to not say how I feel. And I feel like that happens more often than not because of a small but loud minority in the community, if that makes sense. But yeah, I mean, you would be surprised how much of the discourse is like how much they feel like they can shift and sway, right? But let's see here. Toolman says, do people really get this passionate about the Shinra 8? I don't even know who the Shinra 8 are, Toolman. See, that's another thing you guys will learn too. Since I've just been playing Final Fantasy VII Remake since 2020, I enjoy many other video games, and these are things that like I don't focus on too much. And so there's some things that like I don't know in the Final Fantasy fandom, right? And when I get to my story, you're going to hear about like me getting called out because I'm not a real fan. And to some extent, I would say that's true. I've purposely been avoiding Final Fantasy VII OG, which is the foundation of all of this, right? And I play other game series, and I get mad at people when they, have opinions on stuff that I'm like you don't even know because you haven't played it. Like, I understand that point of view, right? But when it comes to like having a preference for a certain relationship in the game, that's where I kind of draw the line. It's like, okay, you can get mad at me because I don't know some stuff about the OG, but it's just a preferred, relationship. So anyway, yeah, Alyssa says spam. It was always a choice. Developers committed to not committing. Yeah, and it's probably been the best thing for them because Final Fantasy VII has stayed relevant forever. Thanks for the bottler, Dustin. We like the romance aspect. Yeah, okay, awesome. Like, I do too. I wish games had more romance in them, Amber. I really do. Zage says, not gonna lie, I do care about my Astrobot minifigures more than most people. Right? So this is like, men love their things and their gadgets, and women love that. They want to go talk to the girls and go out to lunch, Separate Gaming. Hey, Spencer, I heard Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis has been axed by Square. Yeah, that's true. So if you guys didn't hear, I'm sure you all heard the news. Most people in, my chat know more about the news than I do, but Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis end of service is happening in October. In just 3 months' time, they're taking it down. So hurry and buy that Tifa Zongan skin while you still can. I laugh. It's mean because if you've put a lot of time into it, this is the problem with live service games is because they just get axed, and then like all this time and investment and the weird monetization that they have, and the weapons that you've upgraded and all the time you've put into those games, they just vanish, they just disappear, and then it's like this hole is in your heart. I know Javier cares about that. Sorry, Javier, and sorry to anyone else who was playing Ever Crisis. Alex says because many creators have some fear of their audience. Yeah, they do. It's so weird because I don't know. I get it. If you're the creator that's trying to like make it big and you feel like this is your way into the industry, and you're like, I could be a streamer or I could be a YouTuber. I don't want to tick anyone off. I'm not here to be controversial, right? But anytime that you like get confronted by a group or a fandom and they start calling you out on stuff, like to me, it's like not worth it to like sacrifice. It's not your integrity. I'm not saying that these people don't have integrity. It's more like, how do I word this? It's weird that we kind of let internet bullies who don't show us who they are, won't admit who's behind that profile avatar, that they can kind of run the discourse of a fandom, right? It's been going on for years. This is like, you have like the old internet when people would get on forums, but now we've got subreddits and Twitter and all these things, and they still do it. They get these cliques and they get these, communities, and they group together. And then when you find your echo chamber and you find someone who loves your ship, you want to be with those people because they agree with you, and then you can dogpile on people together, and you doesn't feel so bad because they're doing it, so I can do it. It is just a problem of the current, social media landscape in which we live. It's not a good thing, but it is the reality, like I said, in which we live. So you just kind of have to navigate that. And I, like, as someone who has a little bit of a voice, like, I'm here to say that I don't think it matters. They can push back on you, but you can just have an opinion about the characters in the game. They'll come after you if you say something mean towards one of the characters that they love, which may or may not have happened to me, but that's just kind of how it works, Roosevelt says you also got to remember that shipping online is still fairly new. You can find forum posts about this stuff, but those are as old as the 90s. Yeah. Well, that's the thing about the internet, right? GraphTube, Roosevelt. Like, the internet has allowed us to find those people that obsess over the same things that we obsess over, right? It's like our people. We can obsess over the character that we love, and we can talk about how amazing he or she is, and then you just kind of like live in this bubble, and when people outside of that say anything contrary to that, they just can't deal with it, right? Because they've insulated themselves to such a hyper niche degree, especially with the internet, allows you just to do that when they get challenged, it's so hard for them to just accept like a different point of view or to be open to it, right? We kind of get so tribalistic and we dig our holes and we just kind of think, we know what's right because I know 1,000 other people that are in this subreddit with me and they all agree with me. These people outside of that can't be right, Keep touching my face. Sorry. Jolie edits the podcast that we do and she's always like, you're always touching your face or you always look down after you say something. Oh, the things you worry about when you start recording yourself all the time. GrassTube says, why let shippers run things? It's probably agency deferral to them as an exchange to try to grow and earn a living. That's a scary exchange, though. I totally agree. They don't want to deal with the drama. They don't want to get caught up in some controversy, right? So they just kind of push them aside or say we don't talk about that stuff, which is unfortunate because I think if the prominent creators that are in the space just kind of said, you guys are acting like kids, so cut it out, I'm a parent of 3 small boys. I have a 7-year-old, a 4-year-old, and a 1-year-old. And when they start acting like this, I usually tell them to stop acting like that. I give them timeouts until they, can act like an adult. But there's no timeouts in Twitter. People can act as childish as they want, and they do. Roosevelt says, I feel like the first shipping debate can be found in some EVA forums. A lot of stuff leads back to the EVA now that I think about it. So funny that you say that. I was doing research for this episode, Roosevelt, and they were saying in 1996 that the term shipping, the etymology of shipping kind of came from the X-Files and how they wanted, I don't even know, Scully and Mulder to be a relationship. And there were forums about this where people were debating about whether or not they should. Simon CSS says, don't have much issue with shipping. I'd love for A plus B instead of A plus C. Are you saying Aerith plus Barrett or Aerith plus Cloud? I'm teasing. You're just using letters to, I'd say for A plus B instead of A plus C. Not much difference for preference of ice cream flavor. But that's the thing, though, right? It's not that big of a deal, but it governs the lives of so many people on the platform. And when I say so many people, they probably are the minority, but they're the squeaky wheel. So they're getting the grease, and today's grease is me talking about them. Amber says, but we get before Crisis, before the end. Shout out. Amber, so do you play Ever Crisis? Sorry for your loss if that's the case. I know Jolie plays it she's like, I got to catch up on the story. But so yeah, if you are finishing Ever Crisis, good luck. Let's see. Simons also says, but in cases where the story did spell out whom's with whom, and certain side shippers are denying reality, witch hunting another side, uber frustrating. Totally. Okay, yeah. So you're just saying for me, it's just a preference for ice cream flavors. But then when the story itself does, specify who's in the relationship and they reject that, then it gets frustrating. See, to me, even narratives and stories are all about how you interpret the art, right? And let's say a character ends up with another character that's someone that you didn't like. I can still in my mind say this pair was better. So another controversial ship, a relationship that's has a shipping war is, I don't know if you've seen Avatar: The Last Airbender. Who has seen Avatar: The Last Airbender? Let me know in chat if you've seen Avatar: The Last Airbender. So I don't know. Should I spoil this? I mean, it's pretty old, but I feel like I should say stuff about it. Avatar, it wasn't a very good movie, says Toolman. Poll, do you want me to do a poll? Okay. Who have you seen Avatar: The Last Airbender? And I'm going to say the cartoon because everyone will get mad at me if I say it's an anime, even though it's basically an anime, but it wasn't made in Japan, so you can't say anime. We all know that Expedition 33 taught us that, it can be a JRPG. Here you go. Have you seen Avatar: The Last Airbender? Not the M. Night Shyamalan movie, Tool Man. Everybody knows that sucks. And if you have not seen it, are you guys okay with me spoiling it a little bit? That's true, Amber. Thank you, modders, for ripping out the Ever Crisis outfits. Totally. Poor Jolie, her cloud dress is gone. Let's see here. By the way, all the Final Fantasy games are 50% off on Switch too. Dang, go buy them. You're a big 2K fan? Are you saying like a Rockstar fan? You like playing the games from 2K, Toolman? Roosevelt said, "Listen, I spent 30 years obsession over these two characters. I need to be real." Okay, Roosevelt, are you serious? Tell me. 30 years obsession over these two characters. It wasn't a very good movie, Paul. I've never seen it. I've never seen Avatar. Oh, Dustin, you would like Avatar: The Last Airbender. It's a great series. I highly recommend it. Voice acting, it's done by a Western team from Nickelodeon or whatever, but it's just great. Spoil it, says Dustin. Avatar: The Last Airbender is amazing, Zage. You are totally right. It is so good. OG, okay. I remember many ship Sokka and Toph, other Zuko and Katara. Yeah, okay. So that's what I'm not going to talk about all of them. Roosevelt says, you talk Avatar ships, boy, I got something to talk about. Okay, let's talk about it. Simon says, yes, exactly. Which pair I think is better together, or which pair is actually together. Right, okay, cool. So, the Netflix show, Toolman, you are the biggest troll, my friend. Okay, so 66% of you guys have seen Avatar, and then about the rest of you have not, according to the poll. So Avatar, are you guys okay? Now I have to do like another poll. Like, for those of you who, if you haven't seen it, can I? Whatever. Is it okay? Is it okay if I talk about the relationships in that, or should I not talk about that? Zage says, "Dude in Korra has my name." Oh yeah. Blue Monkey like X-Men. I'm joking. That's how Shipper feels 30 years of pouring. Yeah, totally, Roosevelt. Korra 2 had shipping discourse. Yeah, well, they do it for a reason, guys. The reason why shipping discourse happens is because you're smart if you put conflict into relationships, because what makes a story interesting is when you have conflict in the story. Whether that's the main plot narrative that creates the conflict, or if there's something that's conflict caused by a relationship, that's human emotion that we can relate with, that people will connect to stories with. So yes, it goes all the way back to like, Pride and Prejudice and other games, like other stories and novels. Jane Austen's, it's like the stuff that she's doing with, you can be in this relationship, or do you like this Mr. Darcy person? Do you, Harry Potter, you've got Ron, Harry, and Hermione. You've got the Twilight stuff is basically a book just written explicitly for shipping, right? You've got Jacob and is it Edward? I don't know. And I don't know the girl's name. But right, spoil it, talk about it. Okay, I give permission. It's what daughter calls the blued person in Avatar movies. No, it's not those. That's why I said Avatar: The Last Airbender. It's about a little bald monk boy who was frozen in ice, and he basically has all the what is it? Not the Power Rangers powers. He has Captain Planet's powers. Do you guys ever watch Captain Planet? Earth, fire, wind, water, heart. With our powers combined, I am Captain Planet. Anyway, I was a kid from the 80s, so shout out to Captain Planet fans if you guys know. Okay, so I'll talk about it. But Avatar: The Last Airbender basically is this adventure story about this kid who's going to save the world, right? It's very anime coded. It's basically an anime, but they can't call it an anime. I would call it an anime, but people are weird, so they get mad about it. There are relationships in this game, in this series. It's a TV series that are canon. So a canon ship is Aang and Katara. But there's a lot of people who wanted this other character named Zuko to be with Katara. And there's a lot of other amalgamations of ships that you can do, right? Now, the Aang and Katara stuff is canon, and the Zuko and Katara stuff is not canon because it doesn't happen in the game. I keep saying games. It doesn't happen in the TV series. But the fans of the series can argue for why Zuko and Katara would have been a better relationship, if that makes sense, right? So this is where we get into, murky waters with shipping, because even if it's not canon shipping, like you were saying, Simon, right? There are, instances out there where you think, as someone, how you interpret the art. You say, like, well, I think when I watched Avatar: The Last Airbender, that Zuko would have been a better, it would have been better for Katara than Aang would have been, right? And you can point out all these things within the, throughout the series as to why you think that is, right? Now, does that make you a bad person for saying that, you think that they would have worked better together? I would argue no. Like, absolutely not. That's not a reason why, just because there's a canon ship doesn't mean that you can't interpret the art differently than someone who's like, this is a canon ship. The problem when you get into problems is when you impose the way that you interpret the art onto other people. When you say Zuko and Katara were a better ship, they're better in a relationship, so like all you people who are Aang fans, right, are dumb and wrong. It's like, well, no, you're not wrong because that actually happened in the story, right? It's so dumb that we argue over this stuff because it's all preference. If you had a preference for Zuko and Katara, great. You can think about that in your head, but you can't say that like they actually did end up together because that's not what the author or the people who made the creators intended, right? But you can still be like, they were better for each other for these reasons. They just didn't end up together because that's not the vision of the creator or whatever. But this is something that's important, you guys. When someone creates art and then they give it to the world, that art is no longer their own. It's not. You don't have ownership over something when you give a piece of art to the world. So like, I'm an artist. I've drawn, I studied animation. I did 3D animation and stuff like that. But whenever I did something, I made something and then I gave it to the public, then it was up to them to interpret how they were moved or how they interpreted that piece of art, right? It's like no longer mine. It's still mine. Like I own it, like copyright. That's me. I'm the creator. But art is interpretive. Art is subjective. Art is how people react to that thing, right? And so many people that try to police how other people interpret the art, that is my biggest problem with shipping. It's my biggest problem. Because they think that they know better because the way they interpret the art, and they will use things like, well, the original creator, like, this is their intent, It's like, it's not theirs anymore. When you release it to the world, that art is not yours. It's everyone's. It's how they interpret it, right? And the only people that can impose what they think on other people, well, I was going to say the only people that can do that is the creator, but they can't even do that because they've released it. Like, nobody can impose that. You just get to interpret the art how you interpret it, and that's okay, right? That's what makes us special. That's what makes us unique, because we all interpret things differently, And yes, maybe people interpret it in such a weird way that it makes you want to pull your hair out, but that doesn't mean that like they're wrong for thinking that. You can think they're weird, and you can think that's a weird take, and then you can, combat it with like your, what you feel about it and why you think that the way you interpret it is better. That happens all the time. We all argue about art all the time and how things were meant to be perceived and stuff. But that doesn't, like I said, there's no such thing as like being able to police or control how people interpret art. I'm going off right now, but what's Captain Planet? You don't know what Captain Planet is, Alyssa? Are you joking with me? Come on. Shipping keeps media in the zeitgeist. The media creators will acknowledge their own canon, but have no incentive to squash shipping. That's true. Because, shipping is like the lifeblood for a lot of stuff. It prolongs the lifespan of a creative work for sure. I won't deny that. But it's when people get weird about it and then they start imposing how they interpret the ships or their art or whatever onto other people that gets weird. And we'll talk about it in the Final Fantasy VII community in a sec. Grafstube says, in fact, J.K. Rowling at one point openly expressed regret about her canon, which reignited shipping wars over Harry Potter. See, like, that's fine, right? Because all those people that, like, wanted Harry and Hermione to end up together or whatever, I don't know if that's what she actually said, right? It's like the psychotic, autistic, I'm not trying to be mean here, but, like, the obsessive nature of some of these ships, like the fact that they would wait around that long and then they just like it spawns the fandom again because they were like, I knew it. Like I knew that Harry was the canon ship, but she just didn't say it, Like that's kind of weird behavior in my opinion, right? But if she was to come out and say something like that and you just think to yourself, like you kind of nod your head, you're like, yeah, like I knew there was something up or whatever, right? Just don't be weird about it, right? Like we're adults. And people are weird about it in Final Fantasy VII Discourse. They're so weird about it. Aerith Lives or L says, everyone choose your words carefully. We all like Aerith, though, so it's a total non-issue. And this is so funny that you bring that up. I'll get to it, Alyssa, but it's like, because of the psychotic shippers out there, they have literally like reduced... Aerith is like a beloved character. I don't know how you can interpret you can. Like I said, you can interpret it because that's how you do it. But because the shipping wars becomes so zealous over Final Fantasy VII, it's not just made it so like people who think that, Cloud and Tifa should end up together and they don't like the idea of Cloud and Aerith getting together. They have turned it into such like a vitriolic thing that they don't even like Aerith as like a character anymore. The only way they like Aerith is if she is dead or if she's like, with Zack officially canon, right? I'm talking about the Claudies right now and like they do this, right? And we have an example right now of the Claris that are going off and being irrational over something like a voice actor said. Like it happens on both sides, right? But like the idea that like one of the main characters, the heroine of the story, Aerith, is like not even beloved anymore. Like a part of the fan base just doesn't like her, right? Because they're so invested in their ship that they don't care about like one of the main characters. It's crazy, right? And I think you're crazy if you think that. I do. I think you're nuts, right? But yeah. Simon says, I agree. Sometimes there's just enough ambiguity in gray areas for other side to bite the teeth into. Hang on, onto thread. Yeah, so the other side, this happens in the Final Fantasy VII stuff because it's not clear, right? Aerith, spoiler alert, Aerith dies in the original. And so a lot of people are like, well, it's pretty clear like what happens, right? So yeah, like, but the idea to if you sit there and say like there was no love triangle, then you're worsening the story to promote your ship, right? The thing that makes Tifa and Cloud and Aerith interesting is that conflict. Right? The conflict against Sephiroth, the conflict against the planet, but also the conflict within the relationships in the party themselves, right? So you're crazy if you're trying to get rid of all that because you make the story worse because you're so invested in that ship, right? And then also on the flip side with the Clarith side, if you're so like obsessed with like seeing Aerith with Cloud, and then like you hear people online talk about the under the high wind scene, right? And then you like can't handle it because like that may or may not happen and it's optional, where people have to get on and be like, that's optional. It's like, don't worry, dude. It's optional. So you can just chill, right? You don't have to go to war on Twitter and be like, that didn't happen in my game, man. So anyway, yeah. Amber says, OMG, how could you think like that? You are wrong. Yeah. That's right. The art is mine now, says Ernest. That's true, right? Yeah. Roosevelt says, I would argue that most of your relationship development in a comic that no one will read is a bad idea to upset fans. Are we talking about something? I don't know. Was there something in a comic? I didn't know. Seppo says, as Indonesian, I never heard Captain Planet. Oh, Captain Planet is like probably a very Western American thing. It's like, it felt like it was like run by the government that was like, they were trying to push, environmentalism and not pollute. So they made a cartoon called Captain Planet, who was all about like cleaning the planet. And they had these kids that were like, basically, they had like public service announcements at the end of each, episode. And they were like, pick up the trash in your local neighborhood and you'll clean up the planet, and like the villains of Captain Planet were all like smog, industry, like pollutants and stuff. So yeah, and long story short, Seppu, there was this series called Captain Planet, and like he was powered by, making the environment better. He's basically Barret, same story as Final Fantasy VII. Dan is Tired says, but my fan fiction is mine and only mine, and you all must accept it as fact. That is so true. I should just caption that. That should be the title of this, right? My fan fiction is mine and only mine, and you must accept it as fact. See, right? Like, that's the problem. It's like, you can have your fan fiction. You can think about what you think would be cool, but you can't impose that on other people, right? Let our ships combine with our powers combine. So tired is Dan from all that screaming. Yep. Yeah. To form Megazord. Nice, Alyssa. For sure. Ace Torres says there are a lot of mental illness in the world. I mean, here's the thing. Like, I do think there's some of that, right? If you guys haven't seen our last video that we did, Jolie and I reacted to a Clarith that is, on Twitter, and they went off on that blue, it's a poo-poo from Final, is that what it's called? A poo-poo? P-U-P-U? From Final Fantasy VIII, but it's like a little art design that's scattered around Final Fantasy VII Remake. But it happens to be on the vending machine at the Wall Market Inn that you're, have to do some side quest for. And there was an entire 30 tweet thread about how like that was going to be Cloud and Aerith's baby. And that's like, and it had like 200 likes on their post. Like they were like, yeah, this is legit, If you haven't seen our last video, go watch it. Jolie and I react to it when we're on stream. These are the kind of things that like, it's hard to navigate because in an online community, you're always going to be inviting people that don't get it, right? Because you're open arms to everyone. You're like, anyone who's like, who are Clariths, like, you can join us, right? And they come and they they bring those wild theories with them, and you're like, maybe I don't want you in this group or whatever, There's the problem is, it's like your perception of how you view a character shouldn't, define who you are, right? You can talk about it. You can get excited about things together if that's something that you share. But anyway, crazy. Yeah. Hey, what's up, Airbender? Maybe shippers should just watch soap operas and read those old 25-cent romance novels. But like, that's like the people that are like running the discourse on Final Fantasy VII, Airbender. So Mike, like, yeah, it's hilarious. They get on and they say all this crazy stuff, and then they're like, you're weird for not thinking like we do. It's like, no, dude, you just posted like a clip of like those characters and they kind of look overtly sexual and it's weird, you know? Like have a little bit of shame. Have a little bit of like me and Jolie are prudes. We know that, you know. We don't get into that too much. So like but like there is some stuff that's just that people are totally happy to share with other people. And you're like, why do you feel comfortable sharing this? You should not feel comfortable. Sue Fiber, how's it going? George Lucas hadn't even decided that Luke and Leia were going to be siblings even when writing Empire Strikes Back. The screenwriters wrote a lot to play. An LTD in that movie. See, now, like, that's great because in Star Wars, you kind of have that love triangle and it makes for conflict, right? Han Solo has a crush on Leia, but then he kind of sees the way that she admires Luke for being heroic, and he's like, well, you like Luke, you know? And he kind of rolls over, and she's like, you're dumb. He's my brother, you know? Zage says, bashing the opposition to justify your preference is so lame. It's like useless console wars. Yeah, it's kind of bizarre. It's kind of nuts. Aerith and Zack's girl in the afterlife, justice for Tifa. Aerith is Zack's girl in the afterlife. Yeah, right? So that's like another thing. Like justifying your preference is lame. People that like insist that like Aerith I'll get to it here. Let's go back to the PowerPoint. What do you guys say? So I'm jumping ahead here, but the one true pairing is apparently a thing. This is a big deal in, you know, some shipping circles. It's a piece of fandom jargon used to describe a fan's absolute favorite romantic pairing, or they'll argue that this is the one true pairing. So a lot of people in the, you know, the Clody camp, I don't even know if I say it right, Clody, whatever. Those guys are like, well, Zack and Aerith need to be together. Like, that's the one true pairing. And then Zack and then Cloud and Tifa are the ones that need to be together forever, right? And it's like, according to you, that's fine. But, you know, spoiler alert. Bing, 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 bing. Zack is dead. And the people that we're dealing with in the story are Cloud, Aerith, and Tifa, and people that are living. And Barrett. And the boys. Kate, Sith, Sid, Vincent, you know, they're all there. Red's there. Anyway, so yeah, that's one true pairing. But then there's also, so this is for those that didn't know what shipping was. This is my little lesson for you. Ship names, portmanteaus. These are things like fandoms often combine character names to create a distinct nickname for the couple. For example, the pairing of Ron and Hermione from Harry Potter would be called Hermione, you know? Or this is like when you get Kylo and Ren. Is it Ray? What is it? Raylo? I don't know the Star Wars one, but everyone knows everyone's favorite ship of all time. We got Zack and Elmira, right? So they're called Zalmira. That's their ship name when you smash them together. Okay, here I gotta tell you to sort it out here, Claudies. It makes sense with Clarith, all right? Maybe you disagree with their ship. Maybe you don't think that they are right. Maybe you think that Claudies are the canon ships, but you gotta sort out your name, your portmanteaus. Your ship name doesn't work, right? Because you're trying to do the beginning of Cloud's name, and you're trying to do the beginning of Tifa's name, and it's just I think it doesn't work. I think Clefa is a much cleaner, better ship name for you guys. So I'm declaring that you guys are Clefas. I will refer to you as Clefas from this moment on. The funny thing is, like, as I'm saying this, I'm thinking they're going to be mad as I'm saying this. So I laugh in my head because it's like, we demand to be taken seriously, right? Okay, Clodies, right? But yeah, your name is a little bit messed up. Keep switching to the wrong thing. So yeah, those are kind of so canon versus non-canon, ship names, one true pairing, and then of course the word shipping. So now you'll know, right? And then it's so funny because like everyone laughs whenever, you know, you're on Twitter or you say something against a ship. It's like you'll get a comment like, they're coming, they're watching, they're coming for you. And this is like the boogeyman of the Final Fantasy VII community, which just makes me laugh. It's like, why do we give them power? Why does it matter how you feel about a relationship in the game. Let the developers show us their vision and let's see what happens, right? You guys ready to meet the stars? Meet the stars! Final Fantasy VII. These are our stars, everybody. Give it up for Aerith Gainsborough, Cloud Strife, and Tifa Lockhart. Everyone's favorite love triangle. Yeah, this is what all the drama's about, are these three, you know? There's like the side characters, you know. These are the possible romance options in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. You've got Aerith, you've got Barrett, you've got Red, you've got Tifa Lockhart, you've got Yuffie, and you've got the boys. I didn't put Kate Sith in here, but you can stick Kate Sith in there as well, right? These are some of the I didn't have time to put Kate Sith, all right, Toolman. Okay, buddy. I actually made this like seconds before we went live. Just know that Kate Sith is there as well. Think of him as like a cat that's hiding. He's sleeping. But these are some of the possible romance options, and this is literally coded in the game. There's an infinity system for all of these people, except for the boys. You can't really do infinity with them. It's just, if you don't get enough affinity with the rest, then you get to hang out with the boys, which I think is hilarious. And it did happen to me. My Skywill, whatever that's called, date was with the boys. That was my option because I was rushing the game. But anyway, let's go back to the stars here. So hang on, what's our agenda? What is shipping? We're still talking about shipping. So this is the shipping war. This is the shipping for Final Fantasy VII. It's based around these three characters. If you don't know, I'm sure you all do. Simon says, I firmly stand by Tifa Cloud as canon, but I love Aerith as a well-written and designed tragic heroine in her own right. No issue, no hate and dislike from me. See, I like that. This is a sensible take from Simon, right? It says he thinks that Tifa and Cloud are the canon ship, and it's like, cool, right? He said that right under Justice for Tifa, which I don't think is a coincidence, right? But like, yeah, the thing is, there's the way the plot is in Final Fantasy VII. It's like no one's truly gone, or they are gone, especially with the remake. So that's why it's bringing stuff back into question with Aerith. You know, Dan says she wasn't even important enough to get her name. Okay, oh yeah, they didn't get the name right. It's Clefa, guys. Even I got spoiled by that before I know the Final Fantasy VII. Okay, Jem, you knew. Imagine shipping wars in real life. Husbands and wives beware. That would be so funny, man, if it was real life. It wouldn't work in real life because people have shame. People would be like, can't do that. Sue Fiber says, when I got back into the fandom, I was told by the hardcore fans that CT and ZA are canon, so Cloud and Tifa and Zack and Aerith are canon, so Cloud and Aerith is okay to ship as long as I realize that. See, okay, but you were told by the fandom, right? This is like what I have a problem with. They don't matter. They don't own the art, Sue Fiver. You can interpret it however you want, especially with these remakes and all the stuff that they're setting up for like romantic options. If you can here, I'll go to Rant Cam. If you can look me in the eye with a straight face and say that there are no romantic moments with Aerith and Cloud, you are an insane, crazy person, or you are purposely avoiding the content of the game. But the same can be said of Tifa. If you can look at me and say that there are no romantic moments with Cloud and Tifa, then you are an insane, crazy person, or you didn't play the game, right? Obviously, there are moments with both of them. It's a love triangle. If it was not a love triangle, there would be no conflict and it wouldn't be interesting. There wouldn't be these wars, right? It's that way for a reason. Let's see here. Toolman says, we're in a shipping war in real life. What do you think that... Sorry. Like real stuff, so I feel bad kind of like mocking it, but that is kind of funny. He's kind of taking the piss out of the shippers, being like, see? It's so serious, it's causing wars in the Middle East. Justice for Tifa. Sue Fiber, sorry, I don't make the rules. What's up, Bambi-chan? Shipping has gotten so bad to the point that there that if you're a fan of Tifa or Aerith as characters alone, you're automatically labeled a CT or a CA. Thank you. It's so funny because like this is like I'm gonna get to my story here in a second about like kind of how I got into gotten tangled up with the shippers, you might say. I prefer Aerith. I don't think that's a surprise to anyone if you've watched our content or whatever. I think Aerith is a much more interesting relationship than Tifa and Cloud. Now, that doesn't mean that Aerith is better for Cloud, or I know, because I'm not Cloud, right? And everyone argues, this is like an argument with shippers. They're like, this is not a self-insert, type of game. You are not Cloud. Cloud is his own person, right? So they like go to the mat for the person who Cloud is, and then they argue that like Aerith doesn't work for him, or he does, or whatever, and that Tifa does work for him, or whatever, right? But for me personally, I like Aerith. I think like there are qualities in her that I like, and I play as Cloud, and so even though he's not a self-insert character, I can't help but gravitate to the qualities in Aerith that I enjoy. Tifa, on the other hand, for me, I struggle with because I don't feel like she has completed her arc yet. And this is another thing I'll talk about. I am new to the series. I do not have a 30 years worth of baggage that I'm bringing to the table where I know what happens between Tifa and Cloud. I don't, right? Don't know what happens in the live stream sequence. I don't know any of that stuff. But, on Twitter, I can't have an opinion because I haven't completed the original game, or I haven't. They've told me to politely shut up because I have not played all the games. And it's like, how about you let me have an opinion because I've played Remake and Rebirth, and I have an opinion based on the interactions that have happened in those two games. And I don't care if you tell me to shut up. I'm going to tell you what I think. You can tell me I'm stupid, and maybe I'm wrong. But for now, like, I think Tifa is a little, trepidatious. She's unsure of who she is or what she wants with Cloud. I am not into stuff like that. I think people who are unsure of themselves are unattractive. I always said this when I dated girls, right? It was like, if I dated a girl who knew who she was, like, very cool, right? I feel like Tifa's trying to find out who she is, but which makes her a compelling character, right? I think so many people in the shipping community are obsessed with the character themselves rather than, the relationship around it. I think there's so many people that love Aerith so much that they're blind to her flaws or her character eccentricities. The exact same thing is true of Tifa. People are obsessed with Tifa, and because they're obsessed with Tifa, they overlook story and like narrative setups and things and like her character growth because they just by default love her, and they will not say boo, right? And anyone who says boo about her or about Aerith, that's when you get the defenders and the warriors come out and they say no. Sometimes it's not even about the relationships. That's what's funny about this. We call it shipping, but it's really like the cult of Tifa or the cult of Aerith, right? And they like cannot handle criticism because they've wrapped up their identity into who these people are. The title of this video in YouTube is I'm like, what is it? It's basically like when a fictional relationship becomes a personal identity, right? So many people on the internet have become like, I'm in the church of Tifa. I'm in the church of Aerith, right? And now we're going to fight each other over it because it's my religion. And it's like, you guys need to chill out. People can have opinions about these games and whether they're right or wrong. This is the funny thing is they try to police how you interpret the art. They try to say like what you are doing is incorrect because you have the wrong opinion about this character, right? Which I think is so hilarious because they always act about like, they're like, these people don't know, but they act as if they have ownership over that thing. The gatekeeping that happens in the community, the shipping community, is through the roof in Final Fantasy VII. Luckily, I don't care that much You know, I'm not someone who's so worried about what they say, you know, that I'm like, well, I'll just kind of bend over and not, I'll do what you say. I'm sorry I offended you, right? Like, that's just not the type of person I am. But it's just hilarious that that's how people work. Let's see here. I missed some chats. Let's see. Oh man, I'm behind. I did see Theory Crafters about Sora being their child. So Wild says, "Oh yeah, that's right, right." So are you saying Sora is Aerith and Cloud's kid, or Tifa's and Cloud's kid? I'm sure there's people who think it. You know, both camps think it's true. Roosevelt says, "I don't feel like those are. I don't know. I feel like those likes aren't genuine." Okay. Alyssa says it's their space baby visiting Final Fantasy. Okay, yeah, that's talking about. Jem, yeah, I criticized Claudie and people automatically said I hate Tifa and call me and label that. Yeah, see, like that's what happened to me, Jem. But you're not like a bad person for criticizing like the Claudies. You can, when you enter a public space and you have an opinion, you are open for criticism, and that's fine, right? The funny thing is, it's like they are so cliquey that they send their like warriors and minions after you, and then they dogpile you. So now Jem is labeled, right, someone who hates Tifa, right? I'll tell you I don't like Tifa just straight up in some ways, right? I don't really care for her right now. I'm excited to see her expand who she is in part 3, because right now I think she looks at the floor a lot, and she just kind of is like, you know. I'm talking about obviously when they're in conversations with the party. She kicks butt in the team. She's a great fighter. She's an asset to the team. But whatever, you know, can't criticize her, else you're, like you said, they call and label me when you didn't say anything bad about her, for sure. Sue Fiber says there are really good YouTube video called "The Art of Overanalyzing Movies" that talks about the artist's intent versus public interpretation. Ooh, that sounds interesting, Sue Fiber. And Benner says, hashtag have a little shame. Yeah, have a little shame, guys. But they don't, because they just hide behind their, you know, avatars on Twitter or Reddit or whatever, and then they say whatever they want. Let's see here. Yeah, when I see that stuff, I don't really care, and I'm just not a prude or whatever, says Roosevelt. Amber says, I found out that the OTP while watching Inuyasha. Okay, so that's when you learned about OTP. Spencer's own personal plot ghost is here. This was a good decision, no regrets. Thank you, Spencer. Are you talking about me talking about shipping? You didn't finish Remake yet, huh, Spencer? Yeah, I finished Remake. What are you talking about? You guys just teasing me? Spoilers, did we play Rebirth and forgot what Marlene said? Yeah, characters being alive or dead. Oh, you guys are talking about me saying Zack is dead. Gotcha. I'm catching up. I know I'm behind, right? Yeah, right, and that's a whole nother thing too, because then you get into the theory crafter world and saying like Zack still is dead, but it's just it's another version of the live stream that's being presented to us, and that he's still dead, but it's showing us that he's alive in that version, or whatever, right? Javier says, "Are you trying to rebrand the ship, Spencer?" Yeah, Khalifa. Khalifa does not sound right, Spencer. What? Okay, like honestly, okay, this is gonna sound so dumb. Oops. Wrong button. I'm such a pro streamer, guys. I don't even I shouldn't even be getting into this. Something about Khalifa sounds wrong, but I don't think like Claudie or Clody sounds any better, right? Like, I don't know if there's something that's like it's close to that you shouldn't be saying, so Khalifa sounds wrong. Khalifa sounds totally normal to me. Clareth and Khalifa. Khalifa makes more sense to me too, to be honest. I recently found out Xeris used to be called Xeris. Oh, because Eris. Yeah, that's right. Their ship name is fine. You just need a new tongue. Yeah. Spencer really doesn't fear the hornet's nest. I don't, Simon. It's like I'm sick and tired of letting them govern and run things because they think because they bully you online, right? And the funny thing of is when I went through my stuff, I just got to get to it eventually, right? They basically the Clodies went after me because I've said a bunch of inflammatory things about Tifa, which is totally fair. But I stand by the things that I said, and I'll tell you why. But they don't like me because you know, I'm a bit snarky when it comes to Tifa because I'm like, do something, girl, like move, like you are not driving the plot. Everybody else is interesting, so I'm like excited for her to do something, right? And that like pissed them the heck off, right? They could not deal with that. So yeah, I don't mind kicking the Tifa hornet nest at all. But yeah, so it's just like it's fine, right? It's not a big deal. Let's see. Okay, all right. I'm trying to find. Okay, yeah. Stop trying to make Khalifa happen. It's never gonna happen. Stop trying to make fetch a thing. I'm gonna save Khalifa. Why is that ship a thing? It's funny, but it's everywhere I go. Most trolling. No Kate Sith. Okay, buddy, you're wrong. Playable Cisne. Hey, hold up. I'm forgetting something. What am I forgetting, Cisne? Are you saying that like the side characters that you could like, you know, like Jesse and Cisne? You're missing someone, Spencer? Who am I missing? Oh, Kyrie. You guys suck. Kyrie is the worst. No. No, she's not a possible romance. I just showed you the possible romance. You know, see these guys here. We all know who they are. These are the possible ones. Don't get that Kyrie nonsense out of here. I can't stand it. Girls should ditch the blonde. They're strong without them. Nice. Yeah. I recently saw someone shipping Kyrie with Cisne. See? This is the kind of stuff, if you didn't know what ships were, now you can ship Kyrie with Cisne, and that's totally fine, right? Does that mean that Zack and Cloud ship would be a clock? Yeah. Clock. Or he could be Zloud, right? These portmanteaus are great. People have shame, Spencer, 2026, for sure, right? Folks could use more shame. Agreed. Clack is the Cloud and Zack thing, I believe. That's the official ship term, but we know we can't stray from the official shipping names. Khalifa, Clareth, Airloud. That'd be kind of fun. Airloud, Airthowd. I ship Spencer with Jolie. Is that bold of me to say, dude? I agree with you, Javier. I also ship me with Jolie. What's our shipping name? Joanser, or is it Spinoli? I like Spinoli. Spinoli for sure. Bro, what about Ernest? I see the evidence of the ship. Zakura sounds better, to be honest. Yeah. Tangled Up, you locked in on the shipping debate. Did I lock in? I don't know about that. I didn't tell the Jem says I didn't tell the game to have multiple date for Cloud and Aerith and be called a couple. Sorry, I didn't tell the game to have multiple date for Cloud and Aerith and be called a couple all throughout the games. Okay. Here's How is this still a debate? Did they not see the blue baby, says Toolman? Nice. Amber says things would be so much simpler if Shinra just offered therapy to all the people they've messed up. They're so broke, I mean, right? Shinra needs to offer therapy to people online in the real world, Amber. The fiction doesn't matter. They're not real. It's the real people that need therapy. Roosevelt says, I don't think you need to necessarily finish their arc to understand their relationship. I can Zack a cult, I think would be pretty chill cult. Oh yeah. I understand. Okay, so like you're saying I don't think you need that to understand the relationship, sure. What I'm saying is my beefs with Tifa have nothing to do with whether or not she's good for Cloud or not. My beefs with Tifa are just her overall personality, right? Oh, like who she is, what she stands for, and she's still figuring that stuff out. It shows a strength that she respects her friends and she'd do anything for them. So at the beginning of Remake, we're just replaying this. She's unsure about all the stuff that Avalanche is going to do. She doesn't feel like she's going to be a part of it. She feels like she's trapped. She doesn't want to do it, right? She's trepidatious about the bombing runs and Barrett's gung-ho or whatever, but then she gets kind of caught up in it because of circumstances, and then she's just brought along with the party, and she's dealing with that, she's apprehensive for, 2 games, and she doesn't know what to do with that. And I think that good things are going to happen with Tifa in, part 3 in Revelation, which I'm excited about, right? Has nothing to do whether or not like her and Cloud are, great for each other. I just I have issues with her kind of being that person who's like, I'm like, just do something, And my beef with her is basically like, because her fault is she's too afraid to ruffle feathers, especially with the people in the party, right? She's not brave enough to speak the things that she knows are true, that it causes the party, issues. And this is where the Claudies get so mad at me because they're like, you understand this completely wrong. And it's like, I don't understand it wrong according to how I interpret the art. That's not like how I see it. I see it as someone who's a childhood friend who knows about these things about Cloud that, are a bit suspicious. Even if she doesn't know exactly what's going on, she knows enough to pump the brakes a little bit. And she doesn't. Okay? Like, that's like my biggest issue. And everyone's like, well, Aerith knows, she can see the future, or Barrett should suspect. It's like, the thing that you use to argue for Tifa being good for Cloud, them being childhood friends or acquaintances or whatever they are, right, to each other. I don't know, because I don't know what the game is portraying me. Zen Man, thank you for the super chat. Just joined a whole stream about ships. You did, dude. We're just going hard on ships right now. Thank you for the super chat. Yeah, like, so with Tifa, it's like she's the argument that the shippers, that the Clodies use, the Cleefas use, for her being the canon ship, for her being the best fit for Cloud, is because she's the only one who knows Cloud. And this was the drama that Cody got himself into when he's like, the only person who really knows Cloud is Tifa, right? And then they ate that crap up. The Clodies were just like, yes, thank you, Cody, right? But then I use that same thing and be like, well, if she does know all this stuff, then why can't she help Cloud out sooner? Well, she had amnesia and like, they do this stuff, right? And they just like go after me with all these reasons that they have prepared because they've been going to war about this for years. And I'm like, sorry, what you told me is not convincing. I understand that the plot of Final Fantasy VII would not happen if Tifa sat Cloud down and be like, you are mentally unstable and you are saying things that didn't happen according to my knowledge, right? I know that like when Tifa went and confronted Sephiroth in Rebirth and, or whatever happens in the original game, I don't know completely, but that, Tifa also had some type of amnesia because she doesn't know how she got off the mountain or who took her there or whatever, right? But she knows that she doesn't. Spoilers for anyone that doesn't know. Spoiler alert. She knows that it wasn't Cloud when he was saying who he was when he's giving his spiel in Calm, right? So anyway, it's like hilarious to me that like they cannot deal with that criticism. And it's not even a criticism. To me, it's like that's a flaw in Tifa's character. She's someone who is too afraid to tell the truth in fear of like letting people down. And that's a flaw because it leads to worse outcomes in the future. But it's okay because that's the arc that she goes on and she becomes brave enough, or however the live stream sequence takes place. I have no idea. But it seems like they sort it out. And I say, sweet, right? I know I'm missing a bunch of chats, but like, to be clear, the Final Fantasy files does not represent my opinions. These are my opinions on Tifa. Jolie, right here, she is someone who ships Cloud and Aerith in the first half of the game. So, but in the original, when Aerith dies, Jolie ships Tifa and Cloud. She wants Tifa and Cloud to end up together because she is like, this is what makes the narrative effective. You have this love triangle and Cloud is confused. He has two options, right? There's this tragic event that happens with Aerith and she's taken out of the picture. And then Cloud has to grapple with like losing Aerith, but also finding love and embrace in Tifa's arms, which is very cool, right? And if you remove Aerith from the equation, if you don't think that she's part of the love triangle, you remove so much impactful emotional weight to the story. And I agree with Jolie on this, right? If you're like one of those people that I see online that like starts like cringing when you see Cloud and Aerith hold hands in Rebirth, and you're like, ugh. It's like you're doing yourself a disservice, because like whether or not like whatever happens in the end, I'm sure that like they'll have a like you're lessening the impact of the story because you would rather just remove like that relationship altogether, because you're so caught up in this weird like I want Claudius to win no matter what, that you are sacrificing the thing that makes the story beautiful and impactful. If you lessen the impact of Aerith's death, then you're ruining the story for yourself, right? It's okay. People can enjoy multiple relationships. That's the conflict in the story, and it's beautiful and good. Sorry. What are people saying? And Benner says maybe they should just be happy new people are experiencing the story and the world. And here's the most important part: buying these games so the franchise can persist in discussion with the fans as well. Sure, like yeah, if they're doing it because if the shipping stuff, like this is the positive side of shipping, right? Shipping is fun. Why do people ship? Here, let's get over to it. Let's go back over here. So anyway, here are the possible romances, but like, why do people ship? Right? Because we all want relationships in our life. We all want to be in a relationship, whether you like it or not. When you were an awkward teenager and you had a crush on someone in 5th grade and you wanted to like go out and get a soda with that girl. I may or may not be talking about personal experience, but I really wanted to go. I should just say her name, right? I wanted to go out with a girl named Lacey. I'll just say Lacey, right? And I loved Lacey. I thought she was so cute in 4th grade, actually. And if you wanted to go out with someone, you'd ask them in my school if you could go out with them. And I wanted to go out with Lacey. So I went up to Lacey and I asked her if she wanted to go out, and we agreed on it. We rode our bikes to the grocery store and we bought those drinks. I don't know if you guys know what those drinks are, but they're these drinks called Orbits. These like probably cause cancer for sure. And they were like these little soda bottles that were glass bottles, and they had little like floaty gelatinous balls that floated in the like soda water. And I loved those things. And I remember still in 4th grade going with Lacey on our bikes, and I remember thinking my helmet looks so dorky. Her helmet looks cool, and I thought my head was really big, and I was embarrassed. And these are all the awkward things that we go through, whether, everyone's had crushes on people or everyone's had that awkward feeling. This is a universal human experience, where people, the need for relationship, it doesn't always have to be a romantic relationship, but people yearn for acceptance, right? So why do people ship? This is like I said, a universal human experience. And then you can relate with it in games, right? Which is very cool, So why do people ship? Because we all want relationships. Check this out, guys. This is some Spencer lore here. This is me in the top left with some awesome hair. This is Jolie, right? Everyone can say, "Aw, precious," because we are precious. Look at us, guys. Yeah, this is Jolie while we were dating, and we dated, and I love Jolie. She's amazing. I love her, right? Why do we ship? Because we care about stuff like this, right? I found someone who I'm in love with, and we got married, and we have a family together, and it rules, right? And media that lets us experience that to a certain degree is awesome, right? Yeah, these are Jem says these are pre-parents, Spencer and Jolie. Yes. He just Googled Orbits and they look sus health-wise for sure. Yeah, dude, those drinks were gnarly, right? But yeah, so check it out. This is me and Jolie when we were dating, right? I don't know why when she first knew me, this is what I looked like with my hair being I was basically like a carrot top. But then I grew up and I got a haircut, you know. And we did a bunch of fun stuff together. And yeah, I love being married to Jolie. I love this stuff. And like sometimes in escapist media, it's a wonderful thing for you to be able to experience that with, you know, if you're not in a relationship yourself, it can be very satisfying to, you know, experience a relationship in a fictional setting, right? This is why things are so popular, like romantic comedies, you know, those 25-cent romance novels or whatever, you know. I don't have like the perfect relationship. I'm not just trying to brag or show you like, you know, I dated Jolie. I mean, she's amazing. I can brag about her all day, right? But Zage said Spencer just flexing on us. No, I'm not like flexing, right? These are fake pics. Spencer told me he was 6'7". I'm not 6'7", guys. I'm like 6'1", 6'2". Okay, I'm 6'2", maybe 6'3" with certain shoes on it, all right? But see, look, I'm kind of tall here, right? And Jolie's a little girl. But this is why people ship, because everybody longs for relationships. They want that, right? And we're biologically driven to have this, and so it like makes sense that shippers get so tied up into this. But the problem is, this is real, right? This is real. It's not real in fiction, and it's not worth going to the mat over against people who, you know, just prefer something different than you do, right? Yeah. Anyway. That ends my TED Talk. Thank you. Do you have any questions? Yeah, I have issue with just the shippers being so obsessed with who they care about that they take it out on other people. And this is kind of like what I want to shift into now. But let's see what you guys are saying. I skipped a bunch of comments. I'm sorry if I missed anything, but we've got a few people here. This was definitely the move. Nailed it. Wait, you said that already, personal plot ghost. Wow, you weren't kidding. You did have red hair and it kind of looked like Carrot Top. I told you, right? I was a goober, dude. In the best, I call you guys goobers in social posts sometimes, but like, yeah, I was a goober. These are fake pics, yeah. Spencer's just flexing on us chronologically. Single folk now. I'm not flexing on you's age. Chronologically, I cannot read. Chronically single folk right now. No. I just think like, yeah, people long for a relationship, and that, you know, that's okay. People can relate with wanting to be the hero, you know, and to have the hot girl that loves you, you know. It's so funny that this picture exists because like Tifa and Aerith are some of the most beautiful women like ever designed. And then like Cloud is always like doesn't want anything to do with them, right? Which is like hilarious. He's always like stiff and weird. They're just throwing themselves at him throughout the whole game, which is like another thing that's hilarious. But yeah, kind of silly. But if the shipping is a lot to avoid, pray you can avoid the shipping and handling. It's called fan fiction. Yeah, and I want to talk about that actually a little bit. Which avatar were we talking about earlier again? Because I got lost back there. The avatar with Glenn Powell. You know the avatar I was talking about, Alyssa. Mike says, well, Jolie does look more like Aerith than Tifa. Yeah, I mean, hey, good. Look at you noticing that. See? She's my own little Aerith. I like Aerith because I think she's attractive, but I think Tifa's like super hot, you know? If Tifa had the like characteristics of someone I was into, and she was rocking everything that Tifa's rocking, like right on, dude. But I also think Jolie's hot and attractive also. That's weird. Am I just like talking about my wife? She's great, you guys. I promise. You guys know Jolie. Dustin says, I think Re-Trilogy is an interesting exception because I feel the shipping leads people's expectations of the plot that's being envisioned, which does not seem to be the same story, or does, depending on which side you ship. Yeah, this is true, right? Because, okay, I'm going to say it in funny terms. I'm not doing it to mock, but kind of mock. the Cleefas the Claudies or whatever, they thought they had it in the bag, right? It's like Aerith is dead, Cloud ends up with Tifa, there's the high wind optional scene, like we're doing good, right? And then the remakes get announced, and there's 30 years of people like are missing Aerith and wanting Aerith to come back, right? Like there's like urban legends about how you can make Aerith survive if you do some crazy things or farm something, and people did it, and it wasn't true, right? But like it was enough that people were like, I would do anything to save Aerith, right? Now with the introduction to like when we're introduced to this remake series, it's all about defying fate. So what you're saying, Dustin, is true, right? They're setting up an expectation where it's like, maybe we can change things, right? So what does this do? You know, it lights a fire under the Clariths, and they're like, heck yeah, right? And then what does it do to the Claudies? They're like, heck no, which is so sad because Aerith living or dying should not matter to your relationship, you know? It's like you still have the original. You can still be like, bodies there, you know, there, or you can still think that like maybe they won't, you know, like Dustin said, depending on what camp you're in, maybe nothing's going to change. Maybe Aerith is still dead, and that's what's going to be final, and we're going to learn more about it in Revelation. Cool. But like, you know, people can point out narrative structure and, you know, plot sequences that happen in these games, you know, and it's like you can notice like, hey, me and Jolie have been playing through Remake right now, and we notice certain things. We're like, man, they're really hitting home this like Cloud is going to be affected by Aerith's death thing. But then they're also being like, maybe he could stop it. It's like all there, right? But then people are like, no, like they just want you to think that. And that's okay. That's the cool thing about this whole thing. This whole remake that they're doing, you know? That's why it's called Revelation at the end, because we're going to see what happens. So you're totally right, Dustin. Roosevelt says, we get it. You love your wife, and we're going to be forever alone. That's the whole reason I'm having this. You guys are a beautiful couple. No shade. Thank you, Mike. That's so kind. Cleefa never going to happen. I feel so funny because I want to say Cleefa, but I just feel like if they ever watch this, which they probably won't, they'll be like, you hate us. Adopt. They still kind of do. What are you talking about, Roosevelt? I don't know. The name or the ship, Alyssa. It's going to happen. Adopt it. Leafa. These people never played Disc 2. Yeah. Oh, you're saying don't. Gotcha. Sue Fiber said, I used a Game Shark to get Aerith back in the party. Heck yeah, see? You circumvented it. You wanted her back. Don't even spell it out. It gives him power. The Cleefa. Yeah, you keep saying it, Alyssa. The more you write it, the more it takes shape and, you know, becomes a thing. Dustin says, yes, I believe the theme is different than the OG personally, but lots of people beef with that because they're so emotionally invested in their ship. This is what I'm talking about. Like, their obsession with their ship is like muddying their interpretation of the things that are on screen. The stuff that like they're telling us, right? They're like, they don't want to believe it so bad that they're like, they will actively reject it and be like, nope, that didn't happen. Not for me, because, you know, they're so invested in, you know, their ship being like canon versus non-canon, right? And I'm the type of person that's like, I don't care about that stuff. Like, I prefer Aerith, and this is how okay, I'm going to say some things, and this is going to like bother some people, right? I think for me, Cloud definitely has feelings for Aerith, right? This is how I interpret the art, and you can't take that away from me, no matter how much you want to. Cloud loves Aerith. He's starting to love Aerith. He's learning to love her because she's new, right? He probably also has feelings for Tifa, right? He does. But as things are shaping and happening, like for me, in my mind, it's like, I think Cloud and Aerith are better for each other. And even if Aerith dies, I still think that, right? In my canon ship, in my head, Aerith is the one that got away. because given time and whatever circumstances, maybe Cloud chooses her. In my mind, maybe that's true. Maybe I'm full of crap and you're like, Spencer, you haven't played the rest of the OG. You've only done like through disc 2. You don't know what happens between Tifa and Cloud, and maybe I'll change my mind. Imagine that. But I'm not so, wedded to my ideas of like this being my canon ship or whatever. I haven't planted my flag in the ground. It doesn't matter that much to me. This is like who I am as a person. Like, I am a husband and a father. I have children whom I love. I'm religious. I'm, artistic. I enjoy, family and people. I love that stuff. And then all the way down at the bottom, you could say, I'm a Cleric, right? I like this one fictional relationship in a game. Now you can flip that on its head. I feel like, mine, I'm like husband, father, blah, 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 all the way down. Now this is my preferred relationship in this game. I feel like the people on the internet flip it upside down. And they're here at the top. And they're like, everything about who I am is based around this relationship in this fictional video game. And it doesn't matter what anyone else says online. Like, I'm going to go to war every day. I'm going to base my entire Twitter account on this relationship. This is what gives me the most joy in my life, right? I have this many followers because I'm like the main Claudie person. I'm the main Cleric person or whatever, right? And that becomes your identity. And I think that's a sad way to live. I really do, right? Because you are so much more than a fictional relationship in a video game. And your opinions about that video game are interesting. And I know that you can be in that community. And if you have fellow people that agree with you, it gives you camaraderie. And that's great. I like all that stuff. But when you use that status as someone who's like, this is who I am, the main Cleric or the main Claudia or whatever, to like put other people down or to be obnoxious on the internet or be toxic, it's like, why do we give you guys power? You're dumb. You're acting dumb. And it's stupid. And it's exhausting. Because people that want to interact in the community, who want to say some things that maybe are against the person that you prefer, right? You feel like it's a personal attack. You feel like you personally were offended. And that is really, really unhealthy. You should not think that way. You are so much more than the ship that you like. What's up, Morse code? Any Cloudferoth shippers? I think that there's an actual term for like the Sephiroth and Cloud shippers, man. Dude, they love each other, man. After Sephiroth's done like putting the conditioner in his hair, it takes him all day to do it. But then when he's done getting his hair so pretty, him and Cloud go out for a date. It's the best. Mike says, but maybe they'll surprise us all and we'll have Cleric and Tick. Zafa? I don't know. Nice, all the different names. Me, it's also Sephakura. Is that how it works, Psycho Unicorn? What's Sephakura? Trying to help me out with the names. How does it? Spencer is flexing on chat. I've got responsibilities. He admitted it. Good for you, Spencer. What? Oh, that I said I was a Cleric? Yeah, like I'm a Cleric down at the bottom. Like, yeah, right now I'm a Cleric. And I'm hoping that Aerith survives, right? And I'm not hoping that Aerith survives so I can like rub it in the noses of anyone who's been mean to me on the internet. Like, I don't care about you. Sorry, you're not that important I don't think about you ever. The only time I ever think about you is when I interact with the community and then you insert yourself into what I think about the art. That's when I think about you. And I'm like, you are so annoying and you're probably a 42-year-old man. Like, chill, dude. Yeah, so I've got skills. This is what gives me the most likes in my life. Ernster? Are you guys saying like, wait, is this like Ernest and Spencer shipping name? Seth totally gets Cloud's back in that dress for it too. Yeah. Yes, that's the Japanese names. Oh, thank you, Psycho Unicorn. Awesome. I'm ready for the date, Cloud. Cloud and Sephiroth is called Sephakura. Okay, cool. Sephirusu and equals Sephiroth, and Curado, like cloud, Calaudo, Curado. Nice. I'm not trying to mock. I'm just thinking about the accent in my head. Sephiroth's hand caressing Cloud's face. Dude, Sephiroth, the way he talks to Cloud. I mean, this is the one thing I'm going to miss about Tyler's performance. Because he is like, hey, Cloud, like 7 seconds until the end. And he's just like, he's just stroking the side of Cloud's face. And he's silently just whispering to him. You know. Let's see. Zage says, kleptomaniacs? Wait, isn't that just someone who steals? You're saying you're calling us something that's we're stealing? Oh man, okay. In a world where Aerith and Cloud end together, what do you think happens to Tifa? I don't know. She saves the world? There's more like at stake than just the relationship that you end up with, right? Like, so funny because it's like that's Chocobro. I'm not trying to be rude, but that like distills Tifa down into the only thing interesting about Tifa is her relationship to Cloud, right? No, Tifa has her own hopes and dreams. There's other stuff, right? Like what happens to Barrett if Cloud doesn't end up with him? You know what I mean? Like it's like they go and do stuff, right? But that's what people say. Like, what if Cloud doesn't end up with Tifa? Like, what a tragedy. You know, it's like no, like they keep on living, they keep doing their stuff. I'm Clarith and a Sephakura is peak. Okay, cool, Psycho. Unicorn says, Seph Cloud or just Seph Cloud. I do rub in their noses. It's just a bonus. See, I don't care to rub it in their noses, man. It's like whatever. That's the problem. Don't rub it in their noses, guys. Just like what you like, and if it works out for you, great. If it doesn't, you can still enjoy that, you know? You don't have to impose that on anyone else. Jem says, Corrado Sutaraifu. And for the male ex-male ships, apparently male cross-male ships are called slashing. They use Japanese name because the JP love their Yaoi? Ernenser. Nice. I absolutely hope Aerith survives. It's just not ship-coded. The poor girl deserves to live. The besties with Tifa. See the world. And the best last Cetric she can be. Yeah. Like, I hope she lives, and I hope she is with Cloud. But I hope she lives, and, you know, like, I'm okay with her not being together with Cloud. I don't think that will happen, for the record, right? That's just like, I think it would be cool if it did. I don't know. I don't know. I feel like you have a confetti cannon waiting to go off for when that happens. This are the ships. Claudie, oh, you're giving us all the things. Cloud, Strife, and Tifa Lockhart. Or Chlorith. Cloud, Strife, and Aerith, Garingsborough. Zack, Fair, and Aerith. Oh, Zareth. Okay, so I think you meant Clarith for Aerith. Zack Fair and Aerith Gainsborough, that's Zareth, and then there's Sephakura for Sephiroth and Cloud Strife, Euphantine for Yuffie and Vincent, and then you've got Valenwind for Vincent and Sid. I like Valenwind. That should just be the name of some game. I know, right? Tyler nailed it. Yeah. Like Tyler, he nailed it, but it's like also kind of funny. It's always like these sexual undertones of like, Cloud, I know you. It's like he wants to be with Cloud more than Tifa or Aerith. Did these guys not watch Ernest and Spencer's Skywell scene? Yeah, it's good. Every response to the woo Ernest is just 1 star. Tifa would still, Jem says, Tifa would still be their good friend. Yeah. She's happy for them. She gets the bar back. She finds happiness on her own. Yeah, I mean, like, Barrett has to bake a cake with Marlene, right? Why can't Tifa do stuff like this? But it's like, that's another thing. Like, it's like they need that. I just feel like Claudies are so insecure. It's like Aerith's dead, so like Clarence have already dealt with that, right? So they're just thrilled at the chance of her coming back, and Claudies are like, don't you dare take Cloud away from us. And I don't want you to be I'm being a little bit mean here. Yeah. Don't you dare. I told you, Alex, we can talk about ships for 3 hours. I haven't even gotten to my story yet. Anyway, so bro, Denzel is 71. I think it's fine without being adopted. Okay, I skipped some things here. What did I miss? She's happy for them. That's not even all the ships. That's just the main cast. Yeah. Tifa also wouldn't struggle to find another person. Yeah, dude. If Tifa, like, the thing that Tifa struggles with is, like, her own self-confidence. And if she, like, fixes that, and apparently she does in part 3, dude, anyone would be like, Tifa, get over here, girl. Somebody has to adopt Denzel. Think of the children. Yeah, that's what you're saying. Denzel's 71. Does Rude still have a crush on Tifa like in the OG, or did they take that out? I don't know. Then Rude has a chance. Yeah, there you go. Rude, man. They're so funny because, like, the Turks, man, they, like, commit a mini genocide of, like, the people in the top of Sector 7 plate and the bottom. They just, like, are like, well, we're going to do this. And then they're like, we're supposed to like them still? Like, well, they were just following orders. It's like, dude, do you realize, like, what you were doing? Why do you think that was good? How can I think that you're good characters if you're willing to do that? Mike says, maybe he needs a caretaker. We don't know what the numbers of the last Equalizer did. Yeah, Rude is into Tifa and the remakes also, Sue Fiber. Dustin says, Rude is into Tifa in the OG too. Yeah, okay, cool. Javi says, I remember the store clerk was into Tifa. She, yeah, that's right. When, like, you're getting, like, the air purifiers or the filters or whatever, and he's, like, mad that you're hanging out with Tifa. She can give him a chance. Cloud is not the only man in Midgar. Dude, this is another thing. Like, Tifa and Barrett, they work. Like, what's the Tifa and Barrett ship? And I know that people are like, can't do that, but, like, why not? She's already, like, a mom to Marlene. They, like, live in Seven Heaven together. Doesn't, like, Barrett live in the basement of Tifa's bar anyway? Yeah, Barifa, man. That totally works in my head. Barrett is my favorite character. So maybe I'd want Barrett to be, like, end up with Aerith because I like them better. But to me, it's like there is that, like, Barrett's kind of more of a fatherly figure to Aerith and stuff. I don't feel like he's like that with Tifa, you know? Tarot. What's that flask, Spencer? It's 64 ounces of water. Anyway. But it's also just not... Yeah, mostly the most toxic ones that are most insecure. Yeah, that's true. I shouldn't paint with a broad brush. I've had run-ins with the Cloudies, so therefore, like, I'm like, man, they're insecure. But it's like the toxic ones that are insecure, and they lash out when they goes against certain things, right? Alex says I feel shipper don't have a real relationship and to live through their ship, and that's true. Like, maybe the toxic ones, like, they haven't been with someone in real life or whatever. Or maybe it's not. Maybe they just really care about the character. But Barifa called. Gotcha. I ship Barrett and Elmira. Sorry, Zach. Barrett and Elmira? Is that because Elmira's, like, kind of like Marlene's adopted mom? Well, Barrett's off saving the planet. Can you imagine leaving your kid just to be like, okay, like, Barrett just is on this adventure? I would be terrified for my children for that long. I'm just going off, and then it's like, Marlene, I hope you get food and someone takes care of you. That's hilarious. Tifa is the one putting Barrett in his place, allegedly, whenever we never see it. Gem, dude. Why are you speaking my language, Gem? Okay, we have to play this. People are going to get mad, but these are more of my takes, so if you want to see more of what I feel. This is how I've felt about some of the writing. And I think it's apt to what your comment just said. But then we're going to get back to my story about the shippers here. I promise. That's what I said we were here for, right? We delisted our shorts. We don't have our shorts anymore. Because we were getting, like, a lot of subscribers from shorts. But it was like training. We were, like, training the algorithm to just to prioritize short form content. But anyway, kind of interesting. But yeah, this is the writing for me as someone who has played Remake and Rebirth, right? And it's so the development that I've seen Tifa on this journey, right? I'm like, she's not sure of herself, but the writing is different than how she acts in the game, right? So whether you're like someone from the OG and you're bringing in a lot of like the baggage from the OG, or maybe we won't call it baggage, maybe it's just like you have more context and information about who Tifa is as a character, right? So let me see if this works here. Let me know if you can hear this. Thanks to Tifa most. Yeah. I think it's working. I don't know why it's so quiet though. Oh, right there. See? Okay. Thanks to Tifa mostly, right? Here we go. Please, she really set me straight.
She really set me straight, especially as a parent.
Mostly. This is in response to what was it? Tifa's the one putting Barrett in his place allegedly. We never see it to Gem, right? So this is like when you're out in the Corel Desert, Barrett's like you're on a side quest. It's like saving Mr. Birdie or something, right? And she really set me straight.
She really set me straight, especially as a parent. Wouldn't be half the father I am today without her.
That's so. What'd she do?
Oh, got fed up with my bullshit and tore me a new one. Started yelling about how a kid like Marlene needed a proper roof over her head, somewhere safe and clean.
When have you ever seen Tifa
yell,
get fed up with anyone's bullshit, and tear someone a new one?
Got fed up with my bullshit and tore me a new one.
Then I say her here. That never happens. It doesn't happen for me, for what I've experienced in the games. Tifa is written differently than how she acts in the game. And so when I had these issues with the shippers, or when I'm saying some things where I'm like, I want Tifa to do something in part 3, which we'll get to, this is what I'm talking about, right? I'm like, everyone's like, oh, like Tifa got fed up with my bullshit and tore me a new one or whatever. It's like, I don't know why I turned Barrett into like some Southern gentleman. But like, to me, like that doesn't happen. We see maybe 3 moments in the game where Tifa gets fed up with something, and she usually just says, I'm sick of this. I'm sick of all of this. She lets out her frustration in like a few side quests, right? But she never confronts the party about her issues, and that's part of her arc, which I'm being told, right? These are the things that I'm excited to learn about. But it's like, yeah, this never happens. This doesn't happen. We don't see this Tifa. Tifa is written so differently, and everyone's like, she's such a strong, independent woman. This person doesn't exist. Like, we don't see this. We just hear about it, or people write about it in books and stuff. And it's like, if you're not going to show that to me in the main games.
But it's not part of these main games, so people don't see it.
Why deny it? I guess it was, huh?
That's the scene that also drives me crazy, right? Because yes, they're figuring stuff out. They're trying to like sort Cloud's mental issues, and she's trying to figure it out. But the way that they communicate with each other is just like, oh, it drives me nuts, right? And so this is an example of her being, so trepidatious. She can't step on anything because she's going to trigger Cloud's mental collapse or whatever, right? And that's, sure, it's out of love, but also, it's out of her not having to confront this. She's not confronting it.
I'm sorry.
It's fine.
I wish Tifa would tear Cloud a new one for what happens later on in this game. But she doesn't. She's this timid, shy person. And I know that there's this arc that she's maybe going to come out of her shell in the 3rd game. And I hope she does. Thanks to Tifa mostly. Yeah, so that's something that I did like ages ago, right? Talked about, and I got a lot of crap for that. Like, couldn't have that opinion. I was not allowed to have that opinion because, I hadn't finished the OG, or I hadn't had this. But as the way I interpreted the art, the way I saw things, right? That's how I viewed it. That's how I view Tifa as a character, that she's still kind of going through this moment, right? So yes, I don't know. That's kind of the like gem what you're talking about. 60 ounce. 64 ounce of orbits. Is that what you're saying in here? No. Shocked. You ran into toxic people on the internet? Yeah, same here. Good luck, Marlene. Yeah, just leave her, right? Elmira says she would be a wreck without Zack. I love this Elmira stuff. I just think it's so hilarious, right? And that's like, to me, that's like in good fun or whatever, Maybe people think that's like a canon ship or whatever. I think it's just silly, right? Roosevelt says, oh, Marlene can take care of herself. Oh, Schrodinger's here. What's up, baby seal? I've gone through every stage of grief with the shippers, but I've lived through it. Gosh, these shippers these days are so vanilla in comparison to that guy. Is that I don't know who that is. Jairus? Jairus? Is that like someone who was like a legit shipper? Yeah, so I'm just Schrodinger, I'm just going through talking about kind of the reasons why I've kind of gotten targeted for certain things for sure. But oh man, I remember that guy. Okay, so this is like a legendary guy in the community, huh? Love it. See? Hey, he made his mark on the world. Was it for good reasons? Maybe not, right? Now we need to know who this person is. Tell us who this guy is. If Final Fantasy VII took place now, Barrett would have been born in 1991. I'm not ready to be Barrett. That's hilarious. The guy who loves Jesse. Okay, that's all I'm going to say. Yeah, like I'm not here to like platform other people or whatever, like, you know, these toxic shippers. But like my advice to you guys is like they have an automatic group of people that will just agree with everything that they say. And so if you involve yourself in the Final Fantasy VII Discourse, just know that there are these people that will like pounce on you, right? And when they did it to me, it just made me laugh. So, okay, anyway, I guess I could tell my I might as well just tell my shipper story, okay? Yeah, my story. How am I going to do this? Let me pull this up here real quick. I was invited on to the show by my wife who runs the channel, right? And she invited me on because she was like, hey, Spencer, like you like video games. I was playing the games at the same time, but it was just her and Ernest for a little while, right? And like I've said before, Jolie, she ships Aerith for the first part of the game because she thinks it's the most effective for the story, right? So she's like, Cloud and Tifa probably had, romantic feelings for each other, but then insert Aerith, and she's just like this fireball that comes in and kind of causes all sorts of conflict within that relationship. And then Cloud falls for Aerith, and then after she dies in the OG, right, then, that's why that part is so tragic and so sad, because not only did you lose a friend and a party member, but you lost like a romantic interest, right? You lost someone that you loved. So it's just one of the most heart-wrenching, impactful things. But then you have this thing where, Jolie is saying, well, then I'm rooting for Cloud and Tifa in the third part of the, games. I want them to be able to, figure out who, like, what they mean to each other and find love that way, right? So that's Jolie's canon. Like, that's what she believes is canon and what she's rooting for. I don't know what Ernest believes. Ernest is like, he's fine with all of it. He doesn't care. He doesn't, Ernest does this thing where he always wants to remain peaceful. So, but then I don't like when people do that. I like Ernest, but I don't like when people just say like, we need to be like peacemakers on the internet or whatever. We need to just be like happy and a place where people can go and, not have contention or controversy. And it's like, well, the whole point of the show is to have an opinion. So tell us what you think. Don't worry about the backlash from, these shadowy figures on the internet. Obviously, don't be rude and don't be like these awful people, but tell us what you think, right? So I don't know if Ernest even cares about the ships, right? Maybe he's like in the camp of he cares about things more than people, so he doesn't really care who Cloud ends up with. But so yeah, I'm like the resident, Final Fantasy Files Clarith. I'm the one who likes Cloud and Aerith, right? But to be clear, I'm open. Like if things don't work out, like I'm not going to be heartbroken. Like I'll always like enjoy that time in my mind, the way I interpret the art that Cloud and Aerith had together. But like if he ends up with Tifa, I'm not going to be like, dude, I hate her. Like I don't care. So that's kind of how I am. But anyway, so I get invited to this show, and I'm like, Jolie and Ernest have been doing deep dives. They've done 5 deep dives up until this point, and they've already talked about Final Fantasy 16. And I'm like, okay, cool. Like Jolie's inviting me on. This is cool. I would love to be a part of the show. If this is something that, you want me on. She's like, yeah, let's have you on. I joined the show when we were on chapter 6. So after when you get to Costa del Sol, that's when Spencer arrives. That's when I joined the channel, right? and I make my infamous debut on the Final Fantasy Files. And what do I say in the first episode? I talk about Tifa's boobs. I do, right? Because we're in Costa del Sol, and the internet has been like hammering me over the head that like Tifa can wear a bikini, and everyone's losing their minds over this, right? And I'm like, I've told you before, Jolie and I are prudes. We just like are kind of like whatever, like cover up, Tifa. You know what I mean? Like you can mock us or whatever. That's fine. It's not a big deal. But when that happened, it was very interesting because I have to be honest, when I first saw you, says Alex, yeah, it was the Costa del Sol episode. So I get in there, and what do? I just start talking about, my, like, we talk about the silly stuff that happens in Costa del Sol. It's the anime beach episode. I come in there and I'm a little bit chaotic, and it's a new energy because we've never recorded together. And I'm going off on stuff like, hey, anime beach episode, we're talking about, Aerith and Tifa in the sun, and then Yuffie's, getting in on the action. And that's when you get Yuffie in the party. Like right after that, chapter 7, she joins the party and all these things, right? But you have this kind of fun tropical, beach episode where the girls are dressing up and Cloud takes his shirt off, and like those funny moments that happen that we all know that happened in chapter 6, right? So yeah, I get in the podcast, and what do I talk about? I'm like, I'm inflammatory for a reason because we're talking about chapter 6, but I get on and I'm like, the reason why people like Tifa is because she has boobs. I'm like, another reason is because she has super big boobs. And, in chapter 6, they frame those boobs like Tifa, well, we all know the scene when they come down the stairs or whatever. They do this for a reason. Obviously, it's fan service, and I don't have a problem with it. For the people that are like loving this, they're like, heck yeah, Tifa looks hot. You go, girl. Like, whatever. She's like, I've told you guys this before. I do 3D animation. I've rigged models before. I know what it's like, right? So like, she's just a rigged 3D model for all those people that are pulling the Ever Crisis skins out, and you can play with them in Blender. You all know about this stuff, right? But you can frame the camera position however you want. The developers are not stupid. They know exactly what they're doing. It was like a huge part of the marketing cycle for Rebirth. It was like Tifa's in a bikini, and it's like Aerith's in a bikini too, but like we don't really care about that, right? Which always made me laugh, right? So it's obvious fan service. They zoom in on Tifa. She leans over, and then she's like, whatever. It's like Cloud's like, because he's looking at a hot girl, and that's like a very Japanese trope of like, I can't deal with hot woman in front of me. And then he just is like, the sun. I mean, sunscreen or whatever he says. So I call that out. I'm like, I'm calling out the gooners, the people who like Tifa for this reason, right? And I'm saying like, I'm just like looking at them. I'm like, you guys like Tifa because of her breasts. Like, and I still believe that there are people who like her for this reason. But I kind of said it in a nonchalant kind of like cheeky way. That's kind of my personality. That's who I am. I get in here and I'm like chaos. I'm a wrecking ball. Jolie and Ernest had kind of established this thing, and I'm all over the place. And I'm like, you want to know why people like Tifa? Boobs. And then, we clip that and we put it on our channel, and then it's like, this is when I learn what shipping is. This is when I learn. Because I had no idea what shipping was. I thought I was just being silly. I was just trying to bring energy to the show. And I stand by what I said because I do think there are people who like Tifa for that reason. I think that is obvious, right? I think that's been true since the OG. Yes, thank you, Bigglesworth. I do believe that, right? But there's so many more people who like Tifa for obviously better reasons, right? And this is like something that Tifa fans have to deal with. It's like, you only like Tifa because you're a gooner. And it's like, like that sucks that someone on the internet said that about me, and that happened to be me, right? So I do this. I don't think much about it, but I see the comments and they're going off on, me being, in the chapter 6 deep dive or whatever, right? Talking about Tifa. And like, here's a little clip of me talking, right? This is the chapter 6 deep dive.
Welcome to the Final Fantasy Files, where we discuss all things Final Fantasy, from Johnny to Grasp Tropods
Grasp
to
Tropod.
Yuffie. That's a hard one to say, Grasp Tropod, but that I guess is what it's called. But anyway, my name is Jolie Hales.
And I'm Ernest de Leon.
And we have another guest joining us today, my husband.
Hello.
Spencer. Yeah.
Look at that. Look at that. Look at this guy. Oh, I skipped ahead. She's like,
Joining us today, my husband.
hello.
Spencer.
Bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, my first recording ever on the Final Fantasy Files, right? So, Roosevelt says you were kind of lumping everyone into like, as like a gooner. That's totally true. Like, and that's fair. That's a fair critique. But we were talking about chapter 6, and this was like my critique of that chapter specifically. We clip that out, and people don't realize that I'm obviously like ranting about how this is like hilarious that they're doing this in chapter 6. So fan service chapter, right? So yeah, this was my first time being in.
Spencer. Yes, hello, Spencer.
But this is like the funny thing, right? So if you are if you prefer Tifa, if you're a Cody or whatever, I always have to say or whatever because I don't know if I'm saying it correctly. But if you're a Claudie, and you prefer Tifa, then you have this like goober coming in and being like, you guys are pervs because you like Tifa with no clothes on or whatever, right? It's like, obviously they're going to hate me. That's fine, whatever. But the things that I've said over the, I probably, it's also kind of funny. The whole drama over Cody Christian and like him knowing the game or not knowing the game. I guarantee that I've recorded more of my voice talking about Final Fantasy than he's recorded lines. And I'm not like saying that because like I'm better than him or whatever. Remember that clip with Charlie Cox when he went and did the when he went and recorded lines for Expedition 33? Thanks, Zage. I haven't aged today. I don't know if you know this clip that went around, but there's a clip of like Charlie Cox being interviewed about let me see if I can find it. It's just so good. It's about him finding or being Gustav in Expedition 33. Sorry, my brain's not working. But they're like, well, how was that, Expedition 33, like, let's see if it's recently. He talks about what he did or when, I think, let's just try this. Let's see. I could be wrong, but let's see. Let me know if the volume works.
This game, I'm not a gamer, so I haven't played it. I knew nothing about it other than I went into a studio and I did 4 hours probably of voiceover for this.
He did 4 hours of voiceover probably for this game. People don't understand, like, the voice actors, they go in, and obviously Rebirth and Remake are much bigger games than Expedition 33. You could beat Expedition 33 in like 40 hours or whatever, and these games are like 200 plus hours. And they have all these different scenarios and these, dialogue wheels. Like, I'm not saying they're the same game. But Charlie Cox, who voiced Gustav in Expedition 33, he did it in like 4 hours. All right? And so people that like go after Cody, right? For being a tourist, this is like the drama that's going on right now. And then he's like, he's been in he's different than Charlie Cox. Charlie Cox went in for 4 hours and did this game, and then he's like, everyone's like, we love you, you're like the best character ever or whatever, like we love Expedition 33. Cody's obviously put in more work and more time. He's been to more conventions. He's been in the Final Fantasy universe way longer. I'm not saying that, but for those people who think that Cody is an expert on the games because he's the voice actor, I would say check yourself a little bit because yes, it's his job. This is something that he does, but the voice acting, recording process is not years long. And we don't know if Cody's played the game or like whatever, but this shouldn't give people a reason to harass him and all this stuff, right? But I do think some of the claims of like him making statements about the relationship status between him and Tifa are kind of overblown because it's like he doesn't really know. He's like this guy.
This character. I remember being in the studio and thinking, this is beautiful. Like, the visuals are extraordinary. They've come a long way since, Mario 64.
He's so genuine. So
Which was
good.
probably the last computer game I played. I took my kids on a
Computer
swap
game!
tour, and two of the people
Buddy.
recognized me, and I assume it's from Daredevil, and they were like, "You're Gustav," and I'm like, "Who?" Yeah, I want to play the game. I need to play the game. I need to get a console first. And then I need to play the game. But it's so cool that it's had this. Like, I'm so happy for these guys because they're not like a big company that make.
Yeah, he's like, I'm so glad that my 4 hours of recording have like made people like me, right? Or made the studio popular. It's like, you got to realize that the voice actors are not the developers. So like GraphTube is saying, Cody's an expert because his brother made him watch Advent Children 4 times after he found out he got the role, and his brother started knowledge dumping on him, right? It's like, I'm not an expert. This is the funny thing about me. I openly admit that I'm a tourist in this space. I don't think that I know everything. I obviously haven't played the OG, and I've done that on purpose, right? But I have probably recorded more dialogue than Cody has in his voice acting, right? Just being on a Final Fantasy we're content creators for Final Fantasy, and we record hours and hours and hours. If you don't know anything about us, our deep dives are very long. They're usually 4 to 5 hours plus, right? We have 6 parts in chapter 10 alone. We have recorded like maybe hundreds of hours of stuff of us talking about this game. I think about the game. I take notes on the game. I don't think Cody's doing this. And like, that's not his responsibility. Maybe you think it is, but I don't think it is. He got hired to be a voice actor, and his number one responsibility is to perform the lines that were given to him. He needs to do it in a believable way for us to fall in love with that acting performance of Cloud. That's his responsibility, right? But he doesn't have to be an expert in the games, right? And then people that take his word as law, it just makes me laugh. It's like, okay, he's just some guy. Like, do you think, I know this is a extreme example, but Tyler Holken, or if that's how you say his name, who was Sephiroth, do you think that he's like some expert on what Sephiroth thinks or who's going to end up together in relationships? No, like he like lost the role because of scheduling conflicts. It like didn't work for his schedule. He's Superman on like a television show, But he's been in 2 games, so why don't people respect his knowledge of the games over like Cody's? Obviously Cody is the main character and he's done things more than others, right? But it's just so funny to me, right? I have to watch it again. I just got to see it again. It just makes me laugh. Okay.
So I was asked to do this game. I'm not a gamer. So I haven't played it. I knew nothing about it other than I went into a studio and I did 4 hours probably of voiceover for this character. I remember being in the studio and thinking, this is beautiful. Like
4 hours to voice this character, and then he's done, and he leaves, and now people are obsessed with Gustav, and he doesn't know why. He's like, wow, that's amazing. So anyway, yeah. So. Sorry about that tangent, but just kind of talking about what you guys are saying. It's like, I don't think Cody should be harassed at all. I don't think that he should be called like people. He has a responsibility because he took on this job, and right, like we talked about before. But Cody's like a big person. He can handle himself. Let me pull this up. So a bit of a tangent, but I've bookmarked this, so let me talk about it here. The drama, right, that started all this, or whatever. This is the Cody Christian stuff. So basically, he does this panel with Britt Baron, and they record themselves, or they're talking about all this stuff, and he has a very like Claudy moment. He has like where you can tell that Cody is like really into this, and that's cool. Like he's thinking like, I forget what he says, but he's talking about Tifa, how she's the only one who really knows him and whatever, right? And like it's the reaction online. This is what the advice that I would give Clarith or whatever. It's like, this is just a person, like this is his job, but he's also someone who's intimately involved in this project. And if you throw like a bit of a tantrum because you're like, Cody doesn't know what he's talking about, It's like you can argue if whether or not that's true or not, but it just makes you look like you're like desperate and upset about things. It's like maybe that bugs you. You have a right to be like bugged, but it's also he's just a voice actor, and so what he's talking about is people are calling him tourist or whatever. He says, for no reason whatsoever, I decided to Google the definition of a tourist. Turns out they're usually a duration strongly associated. Learned that tourists stay in a destination for a temporary period of time, ranging from a single day to a few months max. Interesting stuff. So this is like how he deals with the internet drama, right? People went after him because they were like, you don't really know what you're talking about, and you're saying that like Cloud and Tifa are canon, right? That's not exactly what he said, but that's what people interpreted it as, right? Yeah. Justice for Tifa. Unbothered king. Now, people are like, great, like Cody, like that's my Cloud, blah, 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 right? And it's like, okay, but that's just like feeding into the drama, whatever. Do I think this post is very professional? No, but he's also just being like, I'm unbothered. I'm not going to deal with the shippers, which I actually respect because he's not giving them an inch or whatever, right? But here's the thing that I think is funny. So a lot of people are just like, love it, But then this happened, right? You guys have all probably seen this too, but this is Brianna White, and this was at another convention a few years back, right? Because people are like, what does this mean? And it's Cody Christian and Britt Baron holding hands. And this is like when the internet goes crazy for this stuff, and this is the psychotic shippers that turn everything into stupid. They do, right? Right? So Jolie's met Brianna, right? She says it just means that a group of friends were having chaotic fun during a photo op and were happy to share experience. Hope everyone who was at Game Expo had a great weekend. But guess what a lot of people did when they saw this photo? They go off on Brianna, they go off on her, they go off on like how they're the canon ship because they're doing it in real life, right? And then what does she say? She says, I love fan art. I love people sharing excitement over like voice actors for their favorite characters, of course. My personal ick has always been when we can't have fun and live our lives without it meaning something more than about characters in a game. We are beyond our work too, right? Which I think is very good. But did Brianna get all the support that Cody got? She did not get all the support that Cody got. Way to go, King. Way to go, Cody. You did great. Oh, Brianna, right? It's like, oh, you're sensitive. It wasn't even about that, And then Brianna hasn't really talked about Final Fantasy since this moment. She tweeted out Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Revelation when it was announced. And she's like, so happy for the team and it's going to be great or whatever. But like, this is the kind of toxic stuff that goes after one voice actor. But then the other one, when Cody handles it a little bit different, Cody later apologized to the Clarith person that he was, talking about, and it was kind of cool. He like diffused the situation a little bit later, but there's like this double standard, right? I see it, and Jolie has met Brianna online, and it's like, give her the same grace that you gave Cody, cover like the content creators that I know like weren't jumping at the chance to protect Aerith in that moment, but everyone was like, oh, can you believe this fandom? They're going after Cloud for this, and it's like, yeah, well, kind of lame, but yeah. Alex says it's because she's a woman, right? Yeah, holy crap, this is nuts. If you guys, this is kind of the drama, right? He was a star on Teen Wolf, and Teen Wolf does have a lot of shipping in it, so he's probably learned a thing or two. Yeah, he said that. He said he's like got thick skin because of it, right? But like people like went nuts over this, and it's so sad because like this is the result of your toxic ship, is these sort of things, right? When you have a picture like this and they're like, oh, like Brianna's not here with Cody, and this verifies it. It's like, you guys are psychotic and weird. You're a bunch of 40-year-old men. I know that they're not all 40-year-old men, but I like to say it because when they act ridiculous, I respond ridiculously, right? Well, you see, Spencer, Brianna is evil. Okay, like, yeah, can we talk about that? This is so dumb. Thanks, Toolman. It's like, this is where the toxicity and vitriol just comes to a head for me, because the voice actors are not the characters that they play, okay? But because the shippers have been going to war for so long over this dumb stuff, they like literally attack these people as if they are, right? So when Toolman says, Okay, you're 35. Thanks, Alex. You're not 40. I'm almost 40. I'm 39. It's like they like literally hate Brianna as a person or a human being. They clip stuff out of her private Discord that you have to pay for on Patreon, and they make fun of her for it. This is unacceptable and ridiculous behavior, and you are a sad, sad person if you do stuff like this. You are. Okay? This sort of stuff is outrageous and so cringy, especially for, you know, the demographics that we know occupies Final Fantasy. And this is the kind of crap that when we don't talk about it, when we say, well, I'm not going to talk about shipping, do whatever you want, shippers, you know, it's fine. Like, it just gets enabled because no one pushes back on it, you know? I know it's going to happen regardless, but it's like, don't like concede the space to them, right? We can talk about it and we can say this is stupid. And if you've been someone that's in this camp because you found community because you like a certain relationship in a game, that's fine, but don't encourage this type of behavior, right? It's so dumb. Like, people need to be better than this, you know? So yes, well, Toolman's joking. He says, well, you see, Brianna is evil. She's not evil. She's a good person. We've met her in person. Right? People on the internet behind their keyboards, they don't know what they're saying. They haven't met these people in real life. You know? They can just say whatever they want because they want their digital big-boobed pixel girl to be able to, you know, wind up with their spiky-haired chocobo person. And it doesn't matter what I say about this. It's like, it's fine. I can make fun of this voice actor who is doing her best to give us a performance that makes us like the game. And the same goes for you know, Cloud and same goes for Cody and Britt, right? They're just doing a job and they're doing their best to make us happy with their performances. Do you think they want us to criticize their performances and say they're bad or whatever? But then people criticize them with stuff that they don't have anything to do with. Like, I'm just the voice, you know? But then they see him in real life and they're like, well, what does this mean? Because people are crazy. Roosevelt says, Brianna is also a content creator, so it's easier for people to attack her since she's actively online, unlike anyone else in the cast. Which is, yeah, I mean, that's the unfortunate reality of the internet, but that doesn't make it better, right? It's just like hilarious. It's just hilarious to me in a sad way that people get like this. Psycho Unicorn says, yeah, they deserve to be called out. But nobody does. Like, nobody calls them out. Everyone is afraid of the shippers, and the shippers should not be feared. They're just a bunch of weird people. I'm talking about the, like, psycho shippers, not the... You can have a ship. I said I'm a Clarith, right? But there are these people that are so obsessed and their identity has become so intermixed with this ship that they can't differentiate between it. So now I guess I can get into like my stuff, right? When I see this is funny. Oh, on my phone it shows up differently, but this person blocked me, so we can't see it. Bummer. Let's see. Maybe I can pull it up. How do I pull up something that, let's see, Can I watch something in like a Cognito tab? This post is from a protected account. They've protected their account? Wow, okay. The drama unfolds some more. Okay, I'm not going to block names. I am going to show Twitter and a bunch of comments that people have said to me, right? Hey, big boobed girl thing again. Oh, yeah, right. Yes, sadly, Claudies hate her since they don't like Aerith, which makes no sense. Why do you hate someone because they don't, like, this is where it goes too far, right? So in my agenda, when I was like I'm telling when it goes too far, but also my story. So my story is kind of an example of it going too far. I'll have to describe this to you because this isn't here, but they blocked me because of what I said here. So tell me, just use your critical thinking skills. Toolman, you're here, so sorry I put you on blast. But so I can't wait for Tifa to finally do something. This is me talking. The post that's unavailable that you can't see was another voice actor panel of Britt Baron talking about how she's excited to, kind of let loose as Tifa in part 3. This was before Revelation was announced. And then I was just responding to this person. I was quote tweeting it, right? Okay. So, oh yeah, dude, you got to get some money on Morocco. Yeah. Anyway, so I'm responding to this this voice panel. It's another voice actor panel where Britt Baron is talking about how she's really excited for Revelation or part 3. She didn't say Revelation. She gets to open up. That Tifa's going to do all this stuff, and then this account is one of the main Claudies or whatever. Really excited. They were excited about it. So you guys already kind of know. I've already put my foot in my mouth. Talked about Tifa in chapter 6 in the Anime Beach episode, and I've talked about my frustrations with how I feel like she's not voicing who she really is or who Cloud really is, and she just has a hard time telling the truth if it's like uncomfortable. So I respond to this and I say, I can't wait for Tifa to finally do something, instead of just awkwardly looking at the floor while gaslighting Cloud about their past. So this is the big no-no, right? Me as a new player, I see Tifa and she's like testing Cloud when she's doing these, flashback moments when they're at the, they're at the inn in Calm, and she's basically being like, telling Cloud a story of the events that aren't true, but she's testing Cloud to see if like he knows. And so I'm obviously, if you know my personality, I'm just kind of being like, I'm frustrated, but I'm also like, great, like I'm so excited for Tifa to like stop just looking at the floor and gaslighting Cloud about their past. I'm excited for her to just tell Cloud what's going on, right? Because that's what Britt Baron was saying. She's like, she's going to come out of her shell. I'm like, if they do it right, Tifa could have the best character arc in the series. I spelled arc wrong, I know. I'm rooting for you, girl. So I'm like, right on, Tifa. Cool. I'm excited for you to like not be this, is tepid the word? This yeah, tepid, I think is the right word. I don't know. It's just this person that's like too afraid to act, right? She hasn't been driving the plot. She's been watching others, and she's been deciding whether or not, like, where she fits in her place. Me not playing the OG, this is my opinion of her now, right? So as I scroll down, we get people saying things, right? So then people start going after me, right? Why would Ernest say this? Like, my tweet was fair, but it was like, is Tifa gaslighting or just not speaking up or out? Like, Simon, that's a good point, but I'm being kind of like cheeky. I'm being, a bit inflammatory because I'm frustrated with Tifa's behavior. And gaslighting is like a trigger word, right? Because obviously she's not like doing it to abuse Cloud, but she is kind of giving him wrong information and testing him. That does happen in the game. And so, but I'm saying it in like a exasperated way. So then people, don't worry about these themes. I don't know who these people are or whatever, but I'm getting, this is like when the Claudies go after me hard. Anytime Tifa brings up the truth, Cloud gets a Genova headache. Saying she's gaslighting him is just you not having media literacy, right? Yeah, and I'm like saying, well, these opinions are my first playthrough of the series. Thanks for being cool and understanding to a new fan. I don't even know what the headaches are, but it's weird that the party goes along with Cloud even though he's clearly unstable rather than hash it out. And I still agree with myself, right? I don't think I have media. I don't think I'm illiterate. I understand that, like, when they talk about the truth, but guess what? I'm new to the series. I don't know what the truth is. All I see is someone that supposedly knows who Cloud is, and she's not telling him. Even if she can't tell him, she's not stopping him from acting. They blindly follow Cloud. Okay? Here's a rant cam. The entire party does not even question it. They kind of talk about it here and there. Tifa has a moment with Aerith in at Calm where she's questioning Cloud's his sequence of events that he narrates or talks about, right? But for me, right, it's this interesting kind of like issue where like none of the party is confronting their like schizophrenic, psychotic party member who has a giant sword that tries to kill people all the time. And that frustrates me. Okay? Who is the one person that knows Cloud the best that the Claudies keep arguing for? Tifa. She's the one that knows. Okay. What are they doing about it? Nothing. They are letting him lead the party. They're like, no, sir. You take us through this swamp because you saw the specter of Sephiroth that no one else saw. Yeah, let's follow you. Oh, we just take your word for it that you saw Sephiroth like in the water? Okay, great. Oh, you think that person is Sephiroth and you tried to kill him, but it was a rogue guy? That's a little weird, but we're not going to say anything. Why is nobody saying anything? It drives me crazy. It's crazy. And the only excuse that they have is like he gets headaches when they try to tell him the truth. Big frickin' whoop-de-doo. Okay? Like, deal with the headaches, all right? Because he's trying to murder people, and he has this... It's like basically a guy with a loaded gun. It happens to be a Buster Sword in this situation, and you're just blindly following him all over the map. I understand that the events of Final Fantasy VII have to take place, and this is how it happens. Sure. But as a new player, it doesn't work for me, okay? This is something that bothers me, and the one person that you keep saying knows Cloud the best, that's the one thing that Cody Christian said in his voice actor panel that everyone got so mad about on the Clara side, right? Is that he knows Tifa knows Cloud the best. And then the Claudies all celebrate that. But when I say that and I say, well, if she knows him the best, why isn't she doing anything? You are a bad person. Let's keep reading. I have media illiteracy. No shade to Yuna. I know she's a big creator or whatever. She says, finally, she's done a lot in the OG and in the remake. I haven't played the OG, right? You sure talking about the right character? Glad you're rooting for her, but until now, she's done a lot, especially as one of the mains. I'd probably look into replaying the game. This is so general. It's like, she's done a lot. Okay, like, let's get specific, Yuna. What has she done? She's in the party and she fights and she's like a supportive character. My whole point is that she is struggling with her, perception of herself, if she can fit into the party. But people just took this because guess what? The Claudies dogpiled me. And then every big Final Fantasy account that just says stuff dogpiles me on too. They're not trying to be mean. They're just saying like, you're wrong, which is like, okay, that's fair. But you don't know the context. But this doesn't matter. This is the power that the shippers have. They can just be like, nope, you're wrong, send their minions, and then this happens, right? The only gaslighting is done by Sephiroth. What type of tweet is this? Throwing shade like a high schooler? Like, okay, I'm the high schooler right now because I'm like, yeah, I'm throwing shade a little bit with the gaslighting thing, but I'm frustrated. But I'm like, my whole sentiment was like, I'm really excited for you to come out of your shell. For an actual in-game example, John is actually cool. He reached out to me. He's a cool guy. Of gaslighting, please look at Sephiroth trying to convince Cloud that Tifa's not real. It's like, yeah, that's true. But I also don't understand the Sephiroth stuff, right? I said, legitimately, without irony, I don't even know if Sephiroth is real. But I appreciate your explanation. Like, I'm nice to people, right? And then people do this constantly. Don't F with the Final Fantasy VII fans. We've never played the game. And then I share my trophies with them, and I give them the salute. Yeah, I beat Remake, and I beat back in 2020, mind you, and I also beat Rebirth, right? And then they go on and say, did you even play the games? I don't think so. Yeah, I played them just for Tifa. Read the books. Oh, brother, we got a moron alert over here. And like, this stuff doesn't bother me, right? Marco, Tifa enjoyer. Or I'm like someone who disagrees with a Tifa enjoyer. I have no issue with you liking Tifa. The difference is I'm not threatened by different opinions. God bless you, buddy, right? But people just, it goes forever, right? No platinum shame. Yeah, this was a while ago. I'm getting close to the platinum in Rebirth. I stopped playing. I played Remake I beat it on PlayStation, but I had to do it while Jolie was asleep. Anyway, I don't need to like wallow in this, right? Even with removing the OG Final Fantasy VII information you don't get from Rebirth, Tifa never tried to gaslight Cloud. It's so confusing to me how anyone got this idea. Then you had Sephiroth playing real mind games with Cloud, right? Yeah, see, this is where I admit like gaslighting was a poor choice of words, right? I wasn't trying to do that, but you know. Wee cry, maybe play a little bit game for once, you know? And so then I'm realizing, this is where I'm realizing it's like, it doesn't matter, right? No matter what I say, these people are in the cult of Tifa. They care about Tifa more than they care about what's actually happening in the game. Because my criticisms are about the things that I perceive to be happening in the game with the party and with Tifa, right? Even gaslighting not being the correct term, like I would stand by what I said from an overall like sentiment, you know, perspective. Like I believe that Tifa has an opportunity to help out and she chooses not to because she doesn't know how to navigate the situation. That's fine. That's why we have part 3, and that's why this is a problem. Splitting the game up into 3 parts. Because if this was one game, I would play the whole thing through and then I would see the moment when Tifa steps in, right? But I've had to wait 7 years for this payoff that hasn't come yet, and everyone's telling me that Tifa's this baller girl who totally like takes charge and owns, and she becomes this cool person. I don't see that character yet. And that's one of that short I played. I'm like, this person doesn't exist, right? She doesn't exist for me yet. She does for you. She's existed in your mind for 30 years, and you've glorified her into something that she's totally not. She's this character that helps out the party, but you think that she's the main character, you know? Like, you know. Anyway. It goes on forever. Like, just so many people. Like, I'm still scrolling. Anyway. So that's like my story with the shippers, right? And then I realize I'm like, no matter what I say, RaftsTube, thank you for the super chat. Spencer, social media is where a certain type of person dwells, and that probably can't flex their responsibilities like you can. I won't say ignore, but I also say I won't say take this seriously. Oh yeah, like I'm not. It sounds like I'm crashing out. Like I don't care about their opinions. To be fair, like they were saying all this stuff, and I was laughing my head off, right? Because I'm seeing the cult of Tifa come out, and I'm seeing them be like, this is what we go to war for, right? Not to discuss the game, not to discuss the, you know, where people have differences of opinion. It's like, if you badmouth my girl, like I will go to war for her, you know? And it doesn't matter, right? Like I was like, the overall sentiment in that post was rooting for Tifa. Maybe they thought I was like lying. That's fair. You can interpret it however, you know? And I have I deserve any sort of criticism when I put myself out there on a social media platform. I can't be like shielded from it. I can't be like, you guys don't understand me, so you're not allowed to say it, you know? But the thing is, it's like, I obviously know that they don't know how to, you know, they don't know how to have like a discussion about the narrative of the game. They know how to fight for their girl, right? And I'm not saying this, I mean, my run-in was obviously with the Claudia side, but this happens. This just happened with, you know, this happened with Cody and the Claris. They overreacted to something that didn't matter. So what you're saying, GraphsTube, yeah, it doesn't matter. Like, I'm not taking it too seriously. I'm just like, this is the funny stuff. The thing I want to take seriously is like when they come at you or on social media, it's like they don't really have any power. They you know, dogpiled on me and I got a lot of heat for it, but it's like I laughed about it because we have like analytics, right? So they dug up the video where I talk about Tifa's boobs, and they were like, see, he's just some misogynistic he's just some misogynistic person who hates Tifa, and all he wants to talk, he just wants to, you know, distill her down to her chest or whatever. And it's like, dude, like, I stand by what I said. I do think there are gooners for Tifa, but I know that there are people that like her for other reasons, and that's great, right? But it just makes me laugh. That's kind of how it kind of turned out to be. And now I know that it's like, this is a thing. This is the toxicity that's in the Final Fantasy community. There's theory crafters and there's these other people who like, go back and forth and disagree, but I think that's all in good fun. Maybe they're wrong or they're not paying attention to the signs in the game, but at least they're just trying to debate the plot with each other, When it comes to this, it's like they sound like they're catty middle schoolers who went through a breakup and they like are obsessed with this relationship succeeding, right? And it's like they've never grown up. And so I just think it's hilarious that we're in this situation where we let these guys kind of run roughshod over the community, and I'm like, I don't care what you guys say anymore, right? The Jim says they call you misogynistic too, right? Yeah. Who cares what they say, right? They have their minions and they're always going to get more likes than you, and if you ever try to like go say something contrary to the thing that they like, they'll either block you or come after you, right? The thing that drives me nuts is like that Yuna girl, right? She's cool. She's a big streamer or whatever, right? And I don't expect her to know the whole history of me. I'm a nobody to her, right? Which is fine, right? But when the same stuff that happened with Cody, it's like the Final Fantasy like 7 content creators, they were just like, heck yeah, right? Like, Cody, you tell them, those dumb Clariths. You know what I mean? Without even kind of looking into the arguments that they were saying towards him, because Cody was proactive about it and kind of teased them with that meme about hope into cloud or whatever. They all like just clapped like seals and were like, great job, without interacting with the arguments that the Clariths were presenting. I think that the Clariths overreacted. I don't think that the voice actor has to be an expert on the character. Obviously, they're not the characters, right? And they look stupid for, reacting so much. They could have just been like, whatever, like Cody can say whatever he wants, but he doesn't really know what he's talking about because he's a voice actor. He's not like the writer of the story. You know what I mean? But like all those people showed up for them, right? Or whatever. But then when certain things like this happen, when someone are like, don't you dare talk bad about Tifa, it's like I see those same people clapping along. They're like, yep. And to end the story, Schrodinger, I don't know if he's here anymore or whatever, but Schrodinger had like an interesting thing where he was arguing that shipping doesn't make the community better, that it's like it leads to more toxicity than it does to help it. And he had on a bunch of Claudies. And this was right around the time when I was saying stuff like this. And there were a few other people kind of going to the mat for something against Tifa or whatever. And I was just like helping my kids get ready for school and picking them up or whatever. But like Schrodinger, he's streaming in the middle of the day. He does that a lot. And he has this moment where he has like the premiere, I guess I can say her name, Tifa the Monk. I'm sure she doesn't care about having the attention. Tifa the Monk is like the number one Claudia or one of them, right? And she's like, she gets on the call because Schrodinger invites people on, right? And the thing that she said that I will never forget is like she was like talking about she accuses the Clariths of being awful and how they send death threats to us and like or whatever, and it's like a whataboutism argument that instead of dealing with the criticism that Schrodinger placed in front of her, she just started saying like, well, they do this, but she said I couldn't listen to the whole thing because I was picking up my kids from school, but I had it on my phone, and she was talking about the art, and she was like, well, I just want what's canon to be true, right? And it was this is like the conclusion to my my issues with the shippers is that she wants to gatekeep this piece of fiction that she feels like she has ownership over. And I'm not just singling her out. She was just talking in this moment, but this is like true for a large majority of the shippers on either side, right? I've experienced it more with the Claudies, but it makes sense for, the opinions that I've put out on the internet. And she was like, yeah, it bothers me when they go against what the writers have said, right? And she was very like gatekeepy. She really wanted to gatekeep how people perceived the art. I don't have it here because I deleted it. I bookmarked way more tweets before because I was going to be petty and just go through one at a time. But I was like, I don't need to do that. But she like responded to me when I was doing this whole, post about I'm excited for Tifa to finally do something. And, she blocks me and everyone else blocks me. They tell me, they say that I'm stupid. But I, see stuff that she's writing before she blocked me, and it was like, dude, I cannot gatekeep this game hard enough. And everyone's like, yeah, like you go fight for us and you make sure those people that are spouting wrong opinions, like you stamp them out, girl. Right? And it's this is a gatekeeping problem that's in the community. I'm new to the community and I'm voicing my opinions. And yeah, I didn't do it very tactfully or whatever, but like I was not trying to target any community. But they want more than anything in the world to make sure that the thing that they care about most, their ship, succeeds, right? And they think that they're right, so they're going to gatekeep it to like, they'll do whatever they can to make sure that's the reality. And it's so eye-opening. It's like, you are like, you need to chill. This is psychotic behavior from adults, I can think how I think. I can interpret the art how I want. You cannot interpret the art for me as much as you'd like to. You can't, anyway, so very eye-opening, very telling. Let's see here. I missed chat a little bit. Oddly, I haven't strayed into any small circles of the Psycho Claudies, but I have bumped into Claris. You're a simp and actually gaslighting folks for just yeah, it's totally fine. Like I am totally. I'm giving you my story. My story was obviously biased towards one side, but I 1000% believe it for the other side too, right? So yeah, Simon, if you felt like that way and I haven't always added to the conversation in a constructive manner, right? Like I did when I first joined the Final Fantasy files, right? I'm not trying to be inflammatory. I'm just trying to be like my silly Spencer self or whatever. But yeah, I've made mistakes, but I'm not trying to, but I still stand behind like the intent behind what I was trying to say, right? I don't go to war for this, right? This is just my preference, whereas other people look for it and they start digging. Morse code says the hilarious irony of finding out that you and someone else online are two different shipping, and then they find out that you've both attended the same church IRL. Oh, it's fan fiction. Oh, I see what you're saying. Nice. Did I miss something? Yeah, man. See, look at us. We go to the same church, but not the same church. The religion of shipping. Psycho Unicorn says Claudius do the same. It's because you only look at your circle. Yeah. So like, yeah, if you people, this is why I say detach from that. If you make this your identity, don't make it your identity. Roosevelt says, I think the space is also different where people are more willing to call them out than just sit and watch. I don't know if that's true, Roosevelt. I hope it is, I've given you examples where they didn't do it for Brianna, but they did it for Cody, I think they pick and choose, and I think people stay silent because they're afraid. I do. Yeah, I wish he had saved that stream. Okay, Roosevelt was there. Yeah. He didn't save it, right? So Roosevelt knows he was there. I have the exact opposite experience. Claudia very cruel and deranged, just saying. See, like everyone has it. Biggles sent me a YouTube. Uh-oh. What'd you send me, Biggles? Hercules, disappointed, high quality. What are you disappointed about? Is this what you want me to play? Why is Hercules disappointed?
Wait a minute. This isn't my world. Disappointed!
Some good acting right there.
Disappointed!
Oh, it's funny. Oh, good one. Good one. Let's see here. But like my goal is to say, like, detach yourself from this. You are more than your ship. This is not your identity, right? So I don't want this to turn into like this side did that and that side did this. They both have people that are psychotic, right? They both have people, we call them the shipper psychos, right? They'll interact with you if you're in the space. You probably won't interact with them, but if you ever have a dissenting opinion about something that they prefer, they might rear their faces. But just know that like you're okay in having your opinion. Like they don't have any power over you. See here. Alex says, I would be careful with these crazy people. They might swat your house. No, they're not going to swat my house. Maybe they would, but I'm just telling them like it is. See, that's the kind of power you give them if you're like saying like I can't talk about them because they're going to do some crazy stuff. You have to be careful on the internet, that's for sure. But they do that often. Instead of acknowledging their wrongs, they'll point fingers. Yeah, the whataboutism is a real thing. I would just uninstall Twitter and enjoy life. That's fair. I don't get on Twitter as much. I used to post more regularly, but now we just do it for announcements as much. Let's see. GraphTube says, would Tifa the Monk say the same thing about Star Wars 7, 8, and 9? If a fan, the writer's canon is everything. Sometimes it's kind of bad. Yeah. Fair, right? See, that's the thing. It's like, it's canon if it fits her preferred ship. And she's so invested in like her ship being the preferred relationship that happens that she's convinced that like, you just have to trust the writers or whatever. It's like, well, duh. Like, see what happens. Let's talk about it when the game's over. You should have been Twitter. You should have been Twitter when the Rebirth trailers were dropping. Yeah, was it crazy? I'm sure. You guys are talking to each other. Roosevelt, this wasn't as much of a problem when you had separate spaces, but now you only have one space and it's Twitter. I mean, there's Reddit, there's Twitter, there's other places where they go to talk, but Twitter is kind of like the place where people kind of talk about it. Yeah, it's usually just shipping accounts and call them out shipping stuff. Gotcha. That's where that clip is from. Okay. Also, there's so much in the game to talk about that isn't shipping. Yeah, that's true. Michael says, every space deserves more than one opinion. Never stop being you, Spencer. As funny as it is to see Jolie's reaction to Ernest's opinions, never change. F them. Yeah. Well, like, I feel for these people. I'm not mad at them. I think it's a sad way to live. Because like I told you, the hierarchy, like I'm a dad, like I'm a husband, I'm a father, like all these things about myself. And like at the very bottom, like, yeah, I have a preference for a relationship in a video game. But that does not define who I am. It should not define them either. It's a sad thing if that's the case, right? Zage says, reading straight off the screenplay. Yeah. Roosevelt says, yeah, but you had different forums for different things. It wasn't all one place. Yeah, that's fair. Okay, because Alyssa said forums were packed with toxicity back in the day. Right? Like Tumblr used to be like that, for at least it was for me when I was using that site. Oh, interesting. And people did say something like that. Like my, let's see here. In the comments of my stuff, people were saying something. They like back in the 90s, and this is my post today. I was saying, the announcement stream the day I learned about ships. Back in the 90s and early 2000s, fan websites just shared pictures, MIDI files, and music fanfics and cool info about the game. Discourse has changed significantly. I miss the old interwebs, the AOL mystery MIDI, the GeoCities, the web rings, right? And some people are saying, like Cam, he's saying she's new to the world of ships. Ken makes a good point here. He says, I recall learning about shippers when I joined Final Fantasy Twitter. That was quite the journey, so looking forward to watching your stream. I will say I do think shippers keep Final Fantasy VII going. My first game was Final Fantasy VII in 1997. I can't imagine the game having so much relevance today if shippers didn't hyperfixate on it as much as they do and build communities around the game. Like, that's true because, like I said, it's a human emotion to want relationships, right? And that's kind of what I say here. I say shipping is incredibly fun. It's why Harry Potter, Twilight, Hunger Games remain so popular and relevant. Final Fantasy's love triangle is iconic. I've known about Cloud, Aerith, and Tifa for years without ever touching a Final Fantasy game. I celebrate this. My issue is with the gatekeeping. I've experienced especially as a newcomer to the series, right? So that's what I was talking about. Like the gatekeeping is the problem, you know? And then this person says, I'm an OG fan who played in '97. When I got back into the fandom right before Rebirth, I didn't realize how weird people got. I was active online in the late 90s and early 2000s, and we did not have debates like this. So it's like there were like some people are saying it was toxic, but you know, maybe they weren't part of that. This makes me laugh from Murrow Hero. So they're coming, Spencer. I said they don't have any power here. Their imaginary war doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter, guys. It's just a preference, and we do so much to like skirt around it, right? And then someone says, someone in my late 30s has been shipping since I was a teen. I can honestly say shipping has gotten really effing toxic. In a way that used to be not be. It's turned me off from this fandom so effing fast because those shippers are, you know, they need help. You know, this guy right here, I recently delved into the fandom post-Rebirth era. Around the time it was released on PC, I decided to go online and meet some fans of the game. I had no idea that I will be caught in a crossfire of an ongoing war that started before I was even born, right? Anyway, so yeah, it got a little crazy for sure. Red Barrington's here says, I hate the term ship. Shipping is what you do with US packages. Yeah, but shippers are weirdos and freaks. I don't think you have to be like, yes, like we were talking about I call them psychos, but I'm talking about the shipper psychos, the ones that make it their identity, you know, to do this sort of stuff. But there are people who just like the relationships, and I think that's fun. That's what I was telling Ken Masters, right? I think it's awesome that, you know, media can tap into that thing that we long for, that we long for relationships, and it makes us like certain characters, and we're all different. We're all gonna, you know, gravitate towards certain people, right? And so maybe for me, I just don't gel with Tifa, and that's okay, right? And then other people who have had experiences and like, you know, the way she's written, they love her, and that's cool. That's actually really cool, right? That art can do that we can have stories and people that we relate with, right? But when that thing that you enjoy is criticized mildly and then you just cannot deal with it, that's the problem, right? You need to grow thicker skin. You need to be able to think critically. You need to be able to deal with, you know, things that are different. And the problem with online and, you know, communities is that we've been able to isolate ourselves and just be surrounded by the same thoughts as the things. And so when you go into an open forum, then, you know, maybe people disagree with you, and you should be like, oh, that's okay, I disagree with you, but it doesn't affect my happiness or enjoyment, but it does to these people, and that's the problem. And Benner says, but why can't we hyperfixate on anything else beside the romance? Yeah, that's true. I mean, people do hyperfixate on the lore, they hyperfixate on the, you know, the theories, you know. It's just that the romance people are the most obnoxious. Psycho Unicorn says, yeah, shipping is awesome, keeps fandoms going, gets people making creative things. The issue is the toxicity. Yeah, totally. A lot of shipping is just, I find these people hot, so I want to see them. Well, see, that was my naive view, Barrington, because I said that when I didn't say that. I just said, you know, people like Tifa because she's hot and she's got big boobs. But the characters are usually what stick with people the most is why. Yeah, you know, so told you I could do it, Alex. We could talk about shipping for 3 hours, but my advice to you, if you've been in this camp before, is to, like I said, I'm going to say it a billion times, just don't make it your identity. You are so much more than the ship, right? That you claim to love, which is great. I'm glad that you found people that have something in common with you, but that doesn't make up everything that you are, and it also doesn't give you, you know, freedom to harass people online. I don't think you would do it in person. I'm out here showing you my face and talking about my experience, right? I'm not afraid to say how I feel or what I believe or the things I care about. But internet kind of lets people kind of hide behind their keyboards and just say what they want, which is kind of fun for them, but bad for society. Safari Stone says, where did the term ship come from? You did it, Alex. Are you kidding me, Safari Stone? When did you just join? I had a whole presentation. Do I need to do it again? Okay, speed run. Look at this, dude. Final Fantasy Files shipping. what we were going to talk about. I think I did pretty good. We got to these. Just now, well, shipping is derived from the word relationship. It's the desire by followers of a fandom for two or more individuals, either real life people or fictional characters, to be in a relationship. I gave you a whole class on this, you guys. I told you about some key concepts. I told you about Zelmyra. I talked about meet the stars. These were the stars of the shipping war. Some other romance options, which I think are hilarious because people aren't going to the mat for Yuffie Kisaragi. Why do they ship? Because we all love relationships. And then I showed my relationship with my lovely wife, who's amazing. My intent is never to belittle or, mock someone else's opinion online. They can have that opinion. I can think that you're wrong, but that doesn't mean that I'm mad or dislike you. We can disagree, and, that's how things work. So, anyway, there you go. That's the Cliff Notes version. Yeah, sounds crazy. There you go, Zavari Sound. But just remember to be good and kind to each other. We will be streaming on Friday, and we will be talking about chapter 11, the train graveyard, when we get this awesome shipping picture where Tifa and Aerith are just holding on to Cloud, and he's beside himself. He doesn't know what to do. He's so weirded out, which I think is hilarious. So maybe Jolie will speak her piece a little bit on Friday as well. But thanks for hanging out with me tonight, guys. Just please don't be upset with the Rev if it's all about Cloud and Tifa. No, I won't. Like, that's the thing. I don't. Like, that's the difference. If Revelation's all about Cloud and Tifa, like, bring it on. I meant what I said when I'm rooting for Tifa. I'm like, I'm rooting for you, girl. I just want her to come out of her shell. And these games have been split into 3 parts, so it's been hard for me to wait 7 years to see her fully develop, I can't wait to see it. It's going to be great. Roosevelt says, you know what this presentation gets? An F just for Zack and Elmira and you flexing your love life. I'm flexing my love life. I mean, it's like, yeah, like, look at this. Look at how in love we are. That's adorable. But now we're all old and have kids, and I'm fat. I don't look like this anymore, Jolie still looks beautiful, but not me. Anyway, but thanks, Roosevelt. Can't wait to see it, Jem. Appreciate the class, Professor, for sure. Zack is still alive. You don't even look like you? You don't think I look like this? Look at me. Just before I had a beard. That kind of looks like me, right? With my smile. That's totally me. That's not another person, I swear. There are pictures with me with glasses. Like, I have glasses in this picture. But I wore glasses for so long and I didn't need to. My eyes have actually gotten better. And I always feel like braggadocious when I say that. I'm like, my eyes have actually improved over time. Bring back the long hair. Dude, you know what I got to leave you on? I got to give you this sweet image. I think I've shown you guys this, but if you've waited this long, you deserve it. I never get on Facebook. I can pull up the photos that I uploaded when I was like a wee lad, back when social media was a thing, right? Oh, you guys got to see this. I'm hyping it up, but look at this. Can't make the photo any bigger because the resolution was so poor, but let me download it here. Oh no, you can see it. Yeah. Check it out, guys. Boom! Look at my long hair days. That's my friend. Look at my long hair when I was just hanging out. You get Spencer lore. Check this out, dude. This was my prom date. Okay, this is deep Spencer lore. So I'm sorry I'm putting my friends' names on blast. This is probably unprofessional. Can I make it full screen? There we go. Yeah, dude, look at me. This is before I hit puberty, and like I had a top hat on, and I was still like as short as my date. And you want to know something crazy? This is my sister-in-law. Shout out to my brother marrying my prom date. We didn't kiss or anything, but it would have been hilarious if I could say like, hey, to my niece, I only have nephews on that side, but I could have been like, I kissed your mom before your dad did. Just scar them for life, right? Yeah, this is me. See? Look at this. Look, I knew Jolie all the way back then. Jolie and Spencer. I did not vet this. I'm just showing you stuff that I probably shouldn't do. Look at that. Look at that long hair. Ooh, disgusting. Hey, oh, dude, is this picture? I have to show you guys this. This was us at Six Flags. It's not here. Did you guys remember planking? Remember when planking was a thing? Has she aged in 30 years? No, she literally looks the same. I know. I'm like way older looking, but look, that's Jolie. We've known each other for so long. Yeah. Me and Jolie going to the premiere of Star Wars Episode 3. I'm just showing you guys everything. Yes! The picture is here. Okay. Planking. When planking, do you remember when like there was this internet fad where people would just lay on their faces in weird places? This is me at Disneyland and I'm planking. But this was before planking was a thing. I kind of like to think that I started this, right? Yeah, okay, that's a good argument. You can say Episode 3 is the best Star Wars movie. I disagree. I think Empire is still the best, but you could make an argument. Yeah, we have this awesome like Asian family looking at this obnoxious American redhead, right? Yeah, you were perplexed by but I was the proto-plank, man. I'm the one who started that, right? Look at my hair. My hair is eating my friend's face. Anyway, that's some Spencer lore. That's what you get for sticking around. I had some crazy hair for sure. But anyway, yeah, we're streaming on Friday. You guys come hang out with us again, and then we'll just play the game. We'll be talking about Final Fantasy VII Remake. Me and Jolie will be on. We will be going on vacation again next week, so there will be no streaming next week. We're gonna make an announcement for it soon, but more flexing. Actually, Biggles, you know the funny thing is, it's like we're so tired of vacation, but we're doing it with, because we have parents that are divorced in our family. So we did a vacation with my family, and then we did a vacation with Jolie's dad, and now we're doing a vacation with Jolie's mom. And we're just so tired of vacations. Oh, I just wish I could stay home. I wish I could just stay home and stream with you guys, but I can't. So, yeah. Anyway, we will be gone next week, but then we will be returning. So we won't be streaming again until my next, we have our stream on Friday, which is tomorrow, and then we're coming back on the 22nd of July, right? Traveling with 3 kids must be a pain. It's a pain, but they're the best, dude. There's nothing better than kids. I'll tell you that too. Have kids, and then all this internet drama goes away because you have a real life. Yeah, I love my kids, and the thing that I'm most excited for the vacation is taking my kids on the vacation because they are thrilled about it, and me and Jolie are like, oh, we just wish we could stay home and work on stuff, right? Night, Mike. But yeah, we're thrilled about it because we don't want to do it, but the kids, when you have kids, you see life through their eyes, and it's the best thing ever. So anyway, you guys rule. You're worth more than you know. Be good to people out there. Don't be toxic shippers. You can ship, but don't let it define you. That's my conclusion. You guys rule. We'll see you guys on Friday. Later.
Doing tonight? I saw your face in the candlelight across the room, and I wanted to know. Yeah, I wanted to know. Well, I'm anxious to know if you dance with me. Put on those dancing shoes, grab my hand, let's dance, let's get this ballroom rocking tonight. this ballroom